I'm going to call this meeting to order. My name is Harold Zawatsky. I am the Chair of the Fairfield Board of Assessment Appeals. Today is Thursday, April the 22nd. The time now is 5:21, and I'm calling this meeting to order. This meeting is for the deliberation and voting upon appeals properly brought before the board. And I will ask the person who is taking our minutes, Prue, to please do the roll call.
Okay. Harold Zawatsky.
Here.
Kathleen Griffin.
Here.
Paulette Corzo.
Here.
Ronique Patel.
Here.
And Catherine Giff.
Here.
Okay. Apologies for the late start, but we did not have a sufficient number of members present to do voting on the appeals that are before us. So that's why we're starting now instead of our originally scheduled time of 4 o'clock, and any change in times that were submitted after that. So I think given the members that we have present, Catherine, it would probably be appropriate for you to begin with the appeals that you've prepared to review.
I appreciate that. And thanks everybody for getting in early and giving me a chance to get the quorum for. So for the first appeal I'd like to present tonight is appeal number 327 for 189 North Cedar Road. William Kelleher is the owner, and he came in to discuss his appeal. I'd like to make a motion to reduce the town's value from $1,201,100 to the appellant's requested value of $1,050,000.
Is there a second? Kathleen seconds.
Thank you. So, Mr. Kelleher came in and, he said he did a review of the houses on the street, and he basically had 2 points to get up. So he says, look, the street just does not sell for $1.2 million. The only house that had sold for $1.2 million was, there was and we discussed this, it was my last appeal last night, as another neighbor had done this very similar presentation, is that it was really a new build house that sold for a little over, like just around the 1.2 mark, a little over 1.2. And it was basically a foreclosure. They kept up one wall, but the rest of it was all new construction. So you keep up that one wall, so you don't have to say that it's new construction. But it was over 5,000 square feet, and it sold in June of 2020. So that was his one part, that he just said, like, he's just too high on the $1.2 million. And that the street there's about 24 houses on there, and they're all kind of similar, but they're not all exactly the same. And so he looked at, he felt his neighbor at 305 North Cedar was also a 5-bedroom, 4-bath house, is slightly larger at 500 square feet, and it is appraised by the town at $1,094,200. So that's really where he's coming up. He thinks he should be less than his neighbor at the $1,050,000 mark. And I tried to get him, to talk about some more about his land and so forth, and why he thought that he couldn't sell for $1.2 million. And because he had seen his neighbor in the hall, they discussed a lot of the same comps. And so I'm going to go with what the neighbor also yesterday brought in, his refinanced appraisal. And we reduced him to that appraisal amount of $1,115,000. So, and then I started talking to Mr. Kelleher more. And what he says is he's the only property with the vernal pools. He has a significant amount of wetlands. And if you go down to about page 3, 4, 5, you'll see he has some nice pictures where you can really see the wetlands. And there's a map in there that shows that he really does have an almost 100-foot setback. And he does have his land values pretty high, and because he has such excess acreage, which in this case was helpful because he actually got a pool installed in 2017. So he does have a almost like a over 4,100 square foot, 5-bedroom, 3.5 bath colonial, originally built in 1954. And he did put in a pool. But as he's talking, we really haven't seen many houses selling for that 1 million too, which I would agree, that maybe he's a little high. And then as we're looking at this vernal pool, I almost had to point out to him, I was like, what's that in the background? Knowing full well, he really borders the cemetery. He did not discuss the cemetery as a factor in his marketability at all. He's like, but he thinks, the restricted use of his land and that he is appraised so high for his land because he has such a large property is a little too high. So that's the long-winded presentation. There weren't 3 comps to bring out. Just kind of wanted to remind all of you, because I don't know who was here for what appeals last night, but North Cedar's a lovely, cul-de-sac dead end with about 24 houses on it, right off Bronson Road. And we did a lot for of the appeals also for another similar neighborhood, which would be the Toll Brothers down off Hulls Highway. So, there's a little bit of distance, but they both are kind of those secluded neighborhoods, and you have that same feel. They're 4,000 to 5,000 square foot colonials. There's a few smaller colonials on the street, but they're all very well maintained and so forth. And we had a number of appeals that we granted. 1.2 was probably the highest one that we did, down to just under $1.1 million. So my gut here is like, I was like, oh, $1.2 million is probably too high, $1.1 million. But because of his land condition, which he has a condition code of only 0.95, I do think his request is somewhat reasonable, maybe a little low. But I would like to present it, and I just wanted to kind of get either a sense of the body or where you guys think, if 1050 is too low, 1.1 is probably very fair as well. So, any thoughts? Any Ronique?
Yeah, I know that street very well. I know one of the people that live on 450 at the end of that cul-de-sac. It's a really lovely street. It's quiet. It's very nice. Just one thing to point out, I don't know what the real estate market has been doing since 2009, especially in that area, but they bought it for $1,350,000. And so, I mean, we have it at 1.2. It almost makes me think the model's working, but has it dropped down to $1,050,000? I don't know. I didn't hear the appeal that you presented last night, but I mean, I can certainly trust your word that you're saying that houses in that area may not be going for that.
Well,
This is Harold. This is Harold. Do we, the properties that he listed are in the general vicinity, but not on his road. Do we know of any houses on the road that have sold within the period?
Number
Did he mention it?
172, well, the 2 that have sold were much newer construction. They were like kind of rebuilds. So number 172 sold in 2019 for $1.8 million, but that's over 6,000 square feet and is new. And then both of the appellants, the neighbors, had both talked about number 410, which is over 5,000 square feet, but it was built in 2020.
Right.
Yeah, that neighborhood is so small. That street is so small. I know that house, and that was a hard house to really buy too, because it was up on that hill on that driveway.
So I'll just give you a minute to digest, and then I think what I'll do is maybe make a motion to. So his point was nothing was selling at $1 million. Any house that was selling at $1.2 million was newer, and these homes, look, they're very well maintained and they're gracious and they're built in the 50s. So they are 70 years old. And
But this is Harold, but this house is certainly newer than that. And it looks,
It was,
go ahead.
no, go ahead. It was built in 1954. If you look at the, and then you look at their, you know, a lot of these again made those additions when these folks bought the houses 10, 15, 20 years ago. So you can see that they did that addition in 2007. So yes,
There's a lot of addition to this home. It's been updated significantly. If the portion that was old was the right side with the 3 dormers, then the addition, all of that addition on the left, including the side dormers, that looks to me to be the new part of the house. And that's a significant addition to the house. And it does have 4,145 square feet of living space. It's on an acre and 2/3, so quite a large piece of property. And there is an adjustment for easement, but perhaps an additional reduction for the wet area, or if it could be recalculated to show excess acreage for a lower value, if this area has a AA and is I don't know what the minimum building requirement is, perhaps there could be an adjustment for excess acreage or an additional condition factor for the wet.
Yes, and I think that's what he was hoping for, because, you know, he has maxed out his property. There's nothing else that can be because of the wetlands but he was able to get a pool in, you know, he did say that, but that's a great thing that he has the extra acreage, but there won't be any more. And you can see the vernal pools.
Well, sometimes that's good for ice skating. But did you happen, this is Harold, did you happen to ask the assessor if there is excess acreage that could be broken out of this property? Did you happen to do that?
Well, so could we just get Kathleen's, and then I have a comment, because I think it increased the condition code for the wetlands. But Kathleen, did you have?
Yeah. So my question was more for Ronique, because you're very familiar with the sale, the 410 North Cedar that sold for one. I mean, I'm really looking at the sale on the street, right? So is it a difficult property, or, you know, if the field card doesn't say that it's brand new, but it does look like it has been redone. So, I mean, in your opinion, Is this a nicer lot, or is it a difficult lot?
Yeah, this is Ronique. The weird thing about it is, like, the driveway is super steep. And so but it's pretty secluded. And the house next door, sorry, this is huge glare. The house next door is very well done too. The biggest thing is that driveway, and they had so many different slopes, so it's kind of hard to build on and expand a bit. But it's a very lovely house. It's a very lovely area.
This is Kathleen. So does that house, it looks like from the driveway, maybe that the house doesn't face the street, faces sideways? Is that on the lot 410?
Yeah.
Okay. So the side of that, so they don't have much backyard because it's right up against I'm just looking at the GIS, against 370's yard. So it's sort of awkwardly positioned on the lot.
Yeah, it's sideways.
Yeah. I'm just, you know, at 117, it is bigger. So I'm just trying to figure out, you know, is it a good, you know, is it a good comp to be in that price range?
If you keep one wall, you don't have to declare it new construction. You know, you can take everything down, as long as you keep something.
Right.
And that's what the said. Like they took everything down and kept up like one wall, and then you can
see that from the.
Yes.
Okay.
So, you know, but the neighbors are like, well, that's new construction to them. They all knew that it was they the history that they gave. So that would be the comp on the street. And anyway, so I think what I'd like to do is make a motion to increase the condition code. Well, here's the number I think we could get to: 1,110,000. And I'd like the assessor to consider increasing the condition code for his property to a 0.85 to cover off the, the wetlands and to bring the land value more in line. His land's almost at, his land is valued at 720,000. So a 0.85 will bring that down to over 600,000 for the land, and bring the total assessment down to 1,110,000. So I will make that motion to amend to
This is
that.
Harold. I'll second.
Thank you, Harold.
We'll vote on the amendment. All those in favor of the amendment to adjust the value to $1,110,000, please raise your hand. I have 2 in favor. Opposed? 2 opposed. Abstentions? 1 abstention. The motion doesn't carry. The vote is 2 in favor, 2 opposed, and 1 abstention.
Oh, wait a minute. I think I voted wrong. I'd like to go back and change that vote.
Okay. I haven't called it. So I will call the vote again. All those in favor of granting the motion to change, to make the amendment to the value of $1,110,000, please raise your hand. 3 in favor. Opposed? 2 opposed. Opposed are Ronique and Kathleen. Now, on the original motion, all those in favor of granting the appeal in part to $1,110,000, please raise your hand. Opposed? Abstentions? The motion doesn't carry. The vote is 2 in favor, 2 opposed, and 1 abstention. Thank you.
This is Kathleen, and Paulette, you abstained, just confirming that, right, Paulette?
I voted for the motion to change the price to what Catherine had amended, not for the original, for what the appellate
That's not
requested.
the original. That vote wasn't for the original. That was for the amended price.
Yes.
Whatever.
Okay.
So what are we voting on now?
No, we voted to change the amount to 1,110,000, which passed, and then we voted to grant
on the original motion.
to 1,110,000, but you abstained from that vote. So you abstained to pass a grant in part.
All grants in part.
Okay.
You wanted, that's what I thought. I think you meant to vote, if you voted in favor of the amendment, chances are you wanted to vote, right? Okay.
Then are we to grant in part to 1,110,000? Is the count 3-2-0?
No, I believe it's 2-2-1. I didn't hear a change in vote.
Oh,
All
she
at once,
didn't.
I just changed the vote to grant in part.
Okay. And now on the original motion, all those in favor of granting in part to $1,110,000, all in favor, please raise your hand. Three in favor, 2 opposed. Thank you. No abstentions.
Thanks for clarifying that. It's good. The next property I would like to appeal is appeal number 409. for 365 Fulling Mill Lane. Suitor Divineni, as the owner and the appellant came in to discuss, and I'd like to make a motion to reduce the town's value from 1,167,400 to the appellant's requested value of 1,099,200.
This is Ronika. Yeah.
Yeah, need a second. You're right, Rodique. Thank you for that. Okay, so the appellant has come in several times, and he was granted on page 2. I think you can see his topo map. He has extreme slopes and some very interesting easements. Because his neighbor has 2 wells, there's kind of a water restriction. He actually has an easement on where he can plant on his own property, as well as the slope to protect the neighbors. So again, it's a land use issue. You know, it's what he can actually use of his land and control. And if you go down to a couple more pages, you'll see on his field card that he has come in before and had been granted, you know, help on his land, and it doesn't stick. So we had a great discussion. He's a very calm man, and he went through and really what he's asking for this $68,000 reduction is, could we make this condition? And he has no condition on his land. So he's there asking, can we change the condition so he doesn't have to keep coming back? And it's always a little rounding and all, but basically the 68,000 is so that his land value doesn't go up, didn't increase. He's trying to get back to last year's. He's not appealing the change in his dwelling increase, but he just doesn't think that his land should keep increasing at the rate and then pop back up because the change doesn't stick. So if we put a 0.9 condition on that property, it comes out to a almost $57,000 reduction, which is almost everything he's asking for, another 10. So I would like to do that.
Excuse me,
Yes.
let me ask about the map. If we reduce his condition by 10%, and we take 10% off of the land value, that brings him down to down by $57,000. Is that correct?
Yeah, 56. Well, yes, 57,000. So 57. So 1,167,400. You think I could do that part in my head? So
Pretty much what he's saying.
again, it would be yes, 1,110,400.
And the
And
amount,
then- I'm sorry, did somebody have a question?
and he's asking for 1,099,200.
200, that would have been his land value last time, and there it's hard to document what he was actually given before. So, you know, his real objective is that he doesn't want to keep coming back, and I actually think looking at it like a 0.9 is pretty quite reasonable when you look at the, you know, the closer those lines are on the top of it, like every one of those lines is a drop of X amount. So when you have that many lines close together, you're definitely sloping off. And I never heard of the easement for planting so that runoff wouldn't affect your neighbor's wells. But his neighbors be very thankful for that because already has 2 wells. Yes, Harold.
This is Harold, yes. You know, the gentleman definitely did his homework looking at page 3. And if that pertains to his land, map 6448, I don't know if we can definitely say that. Is there anything that points to his land specifically? But given those restrictions and condition factors that are mentioned there, I think he has good reason for asking for a reduction or a change based upon his land condition.
And he's done it.
Kathleen, you have some thoughts
Absolutely.
on that?
Yeah. So this is Kathleen. I get adjusting people's land, but I still want to look at the sales and say, you know, is he too high as well? Before we go changing his land, you know, did he give you any sales data, or is there any data to confirm that, yeah, he really should be closer to 1 million and not be at, you know, 1,000,001 and not be at 1,150. I know he doesn't like the fact that his land went down. We know why his land, right, with things change or whatever, because, you know, they redo the neighborhoods and there's a land curve. So I don't like doing adjustments if there's no sales backing up the fact that he's too high. So if we know he's too high, then I just don't know, did he give you any sales, or, you know, is there other things on Fulling Mill? You know, how does that compare to North Cedar as a street?
Well,
I can look
this is,
for comps on Fulling Mill too. There are some comps on, there's a bunch of comps on Fulling Mill.
there are, and I have another appeal that will be at a much lower price than the 1,000,001 that he's requesting. But he was told from the Board of Assessment change the last time that this would stick. And that was his whole discussion and conversation. So it was not about the whole value and overall. He says, I just don't, I've come in before, I've been granted it before. I was told that, you know, I wouldn't have to do this again.
Okay, so this is Kathleen. So I see 359 Fulling Mill, 3,900 square feet, built in 1993. I don't know what year he is, but that's sold for 1,249,000. So if we know that that's a much nicer house than his house, then I would say, you know, we could support that. It's about the same amount of square footage, 4 bedrooms. What is it? 5 bedrooms, 3 baths, 531. So let me just look at that.
I again don't know that well, Paulette's got her hand up, but I don't know that his would sell at that if I had a lot less usable land.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't see the hand up because I was looking at the documentation. Paulette?
Okay.
And Paulette,
No, I have to ask, I'm not understanding why we're looking at a house on another street and we're talking about the house. This man is appealing his land. He's got land issues, not the house issues. And if he's got this many things going on his land, then we should adjust his land. I don't see why we're debating a property that's more valuable, that has a house on it, that's bigger or better, whatever. He's not talking about his house. He's concerned about his land. And like Kathleen said, look at those lines. Look at the easements. This is a lot that is not going to warrant somebody paying that kind of money for it. There's no reason. And by the way, we're saying that, you know, everything goes up. You know, the curve. They redid the neighborhoods and they changed the codes. That's not his fault.
Well,
and
I understand, let me just say, I understand that argument too, and I understand Kathleen's. We're supposed to, whenever possible, look at sales data to determine the valuations. Actually, we're not the ones that are going to change any numbers or any condition factors on the cards. That's the assessor responsibility and capability to do that. So there are two arguments going on here side by side. One is recognizing a potential issue with the land description and condition factors, and the other one is looking at sales data for comparisons to determine the market value, the correct market value based upon the comps in the area, which is basically how we support an opinion. Ronique?
I mean, I know Paul said no one was going to pay for that much for that kind of land, but he did. He did in 2014. We have it valued at his purchase price.
Well,
We have
actually,
the current.
I agree, Ronique. I'm not going to argue with you about that. So whatever you think. You think he should,
Okay.
if that's what it's worth, then I'm okay with that. I'm okay.
Actually, Ronique, I didn't realize that the town's appraisal is exactly what he paid. That is, I
Yeah,
mean,
it's $100
7
off,
years
but
later.
yeah.
100. Yeah, this is Kathleen. He didn't go up at all. He stayed exactly the same from what he was reduced at from before, right? But I mean, did everybody else on the street go down for the most part, and he stayed the same because he'd had a reduction before? You know, there's a bunch of different things could go into it. But for me, I just want to know, like, is that, because somebody could have a sloping lot but be on the water, and it could be worth a ton of money. So you can't just say they have a bad parcel. You have to say, does the town have their value too high for October 1, 2020? Would this house have sold for, 1167? I don't even know, what are the two numbers? 1167, whatever he's asking for. Or, would it have sold for closer to $1.1 million than 1167? That's the bigger question we're trying to answer. And then and if the answer is no, it wouldn't, because we have supporting data for that, then we look at, okay, why is that? Oh, maybe because he doesn't have enough adjustment on his land. So that's what I'm saying.
I guess what I'm saying is, I understand what you're saying, and I understand that we usually go by solds, and I agree with that. However, are we going to find a sold with this kind of a lot? Well, we're going to take the night to find it. He's appealing his land value. We're looking at a house that's more valuable. Does it have the same kind of land? If it does, then I'm wrong. If it doesn't, then we need to look at making a change. We can't go by the solds if we don't have a lot like it. Even similar, it doesn't have to be exact.
No, this Kathleen, I think that other one on Fulling Mill is a good sale. It's $1.2 million, but it sold in February, so that's a little bit beyond, October 1. And we're seeing I think that's a much better lot than the subject property's lot by about $150,000. And if that's the case, then there's the sales data, because you adjust it down, right? You adjust it down because the land isn't as nice. The house might be the same, but the lot's not as good. So then you can justify it.
Excuse me, this is Harold. I want to step back to something that Catherine had said earlier, that he wants an adjustment made because he doesn't want to keep coming back, because in the last revaluation period, we reduced him and then it bounced back up. But as we see, and Ronique pointed out, his valuation is the same as it was in the last reval period. So I don't understand where he's coming from. What fell off if the assessed value is the same?
Well, the assessed
value has not changed from the previous revaluation period.
Because his land went, but there's a difference between his land and his dwelling. Combined, it didn't change, but his dwelling went down, right, they're both at 817, but his land went up. He was given by the board. It's right on the field card. He actually even mentioned the board member's name who had heard him, and then it was granted. It was all about the land, and it's on the change card that he was given in 2017. So last year, because of that change, his land was assessed at 346. And now in the reval, it went up to 398. If that condition factor had been put on, instead of just giving him that, whatever that difference is, the 5.7 or whatever, it wouldn't have happened again. His land would still go up by the land curve, but it would be affected by the condition factor that he was, I'm going to loosely say promised, that he was understanding that he was going to be given a factor that would not pop up. And that's how the Board of Assessment Appeals discussed it last time, 3 years ago.
I understand.
I'm just trying to document and carry forward the Board of Assessment's decision from last time.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that. I see that Ross has joined us, and I'd like to ask a question since we don't have the answer of Ross. Ross, we're dealing with appeal number 409. And the question is, did he have a reduction, did the owner of this property have a reduction in the last reval period that came off in this reval period that caused his land to increase in value?
And it was 2017 specifically.
Yeah, in the reval period of 2017. If you're there, can you let us know if you can check that? Ross, you're muted. Just a moment, I'm going to text him.
This is Ronique. I can kind of see what he's saying, but it just seems the value and the total, it just seems funny to me. Even if we adjust the land, I'm belaboring it.
It's just,
Can you hear me now, Harold?
Yes, yes. Did you hear the question?
I did. It just took me a little while to find the unmute button. I'm looking back in time at the 2019 card, and the land value was overridden.
Could you expand on that?
Well, you know, an override just allows you to type in any dollar amount you choose.
So does that mean that it was, it could have been lowered?
Oh yeah, it was lowered, yes.
Okay, and was that override removed in the new?
Yeah,
Would that be removed in the reval period, new reval period?
we always remove overrides in a reval.
Okay, that's the answer then. Thank you. So there was a factor that was overridden. And would that be the difference in the land value of what we saw previously and what it is currently?
That would be part of it. The rest of it would be the you know, any change to the neighborhood value.
Right.
Okay, so it's not just the 346,500 difference between that and the 398,700, which is approximately what, $52,000, right?
I believe that's right. So yeah, in a reval, we take the overrides off and then apply whatever new, you know, factors that are needed to meet standards.
And then the other question that I have is, if we look on page 3, there's some detailed description of issues with the land, but I see that there is no notes or no change in the condition factor. And we felt that perhaps the assessor's office should look at those notes and the condition factor and see if an adjustment of 10% would be called for.
I'd have to look at it a little deeper. I would rather not try to do it right now.
what's the right way?
You know, it's just going to take me, it takes me a half hour or so to go through it and check it.
But also, I would say that, you know, since there was an override previously, and perhaps that change by the BAA was based upon similar arguments, let's say, that perhaps we should apply the same arguments again. If we look, if there's a historical record to the card, can we see if the condition factor was changed from the, would it have changed from the previous reval period? Gone back up to 1 if it was something lower?
No, condition factors normally will stay on.
Will stay on.
Those aren't normally adjusted in a reval.
So it might then have just been an override, as you say. Okay.
And
Yeah.
that's what the appellant said. And but
Okay.
that was understanding that it's going to be a temporary. He had gone through this, and really one of his quotes was he doesn't feel that anybody should have to revisit this every year. So that's what he was asking. And that was his takeaway from the board member, that, if it was decided in his favor, that it would be a permanent part of his record.
Mhm.
So
Well-
that's what I'm presenting as his appeal.
Okay. I understand. Kathleen?
Yeah, so I'm looking on the street, his neighbor sold, for 1150, the neighbor right to the right. Now, whether the neighbor has the same land conditions and easements and issues that he does, but the neighbor sold, I just had it up, 395 Fulling Mill sold for 1150 in December of 19. That was a qualified sale. So that was a pre-COVID sale right next door, 1 acre, 4,000 square feet. So I don't know, maybe that neighbor has a much nicer lot. It's tough, it's 4,300 square foot house. So the neighbor's a little bit bigger. And that was early in the revow period. And if they have I think they have a pool. I don't know, the subject property doesn't have a pool. So
It doesn't, because
yeah,
well,
and the pool's valued at 20,000, and a whirlpool. So there's value, in that there. So in that the town has that at $1.2 million, and they paid 1150 to get the revow period. So like I said, I'm just looking to see what's going on around him, and everybody else dropped a little bit in the revow. It looks like that neighborhood, most of that came down. The land went up, but the neighborhood in general went down. So he stayed the same because he was already down. So should he have come down a little bit like everybody else did? Because, assuming he was put in the correct place last time, then maybe he should have come down a little bit. But I still like to see the two sales and look and see, he's got issues the other guys don't have. He doesn't have, his neighbor that sold for 1150 in December doesn't have the same issues he does. So he should be lower than the neighbor. And,
Okay, well, this is Harold. He's looking for a reduction of about 5.8%. So we can, we've heard some of the arguments. We can make our decisions and vote. But Ronique, you have something you wish to say?
I think we have to announce Alexis and John coming in for the timing in the minutes.
and John is also here.
Thank you, Ernie.
Was it
Hi,
enough?
everybody.
Yes, and
Yeah.
Alexis has joined us as well. So at 6:03, I think that they both came on. We have Alexis and John joining us. So are we ready to vote on appeal number, what was it, 409?
Yeah.
So this is Kathleen. If we're going to put a land adjustment on it, I would just like to do it exactly so that we don't have any overrides affecting it. So I'd rather have a number that is if we believe it's a significant hardship for him, unlike his neighbors who doesn't have it, if we bring him to that number, but let's put the condition factor on the land.
All right.
And do
then
it for that number. Overrides pop off.
I'll ask the assessor's office what the value of this property would be with a condition of 0.9, given the fact that we see a number of items listed on page 3 related to condition issues with the land. So could you give us what the number might be, Ross, with a condition 0.9?
I can do that. I just want to make sure I'm on the right property.
Catherine, could you give the address and the,
Oh, yeah,
365.
correct.
With a 10% on the land, it goes to 1,110,400.
Thanks, Ross.
What did he want?
He wanted, 1,099,200.
What if we brought it down to 85.85?
That would be another 57,000 and he'd be closer to 1060.
Yeah, I'd support the 110.
And Paulette,
me
that
too.
would really, I'm doing the appeal to uphold what the Board of Assessment, that's how I'm really looking at it, the Board of Assessment. He wasn't worried about his neighborhood code and all that. He wanted that condition noted. So I think he's more about that sticking than about the $10,000.
This
I
is
know that-
Harold, and the reality is that the condition factor will live on this
And-
property.
Be adjusted for the neighborhood value changes and so
Right.
forth. So he was not arguing that. He just, we don't know all the things that go into the algorithm, but he was just like, I'm back again, and it's all the same stuff. So I'm going to make an amendment to change the requested value to 1,110,400, and advise the assessor to please put a 0.9 condition on the property.
I'll second the
This is-
motion.
Thanks, Harold.
All those in favor of granting the amended price, the value of $1,110,400, please raise your hand. I have 5 in favor, opposed, abstaining. Do you wish to abstain, John or Alexis?
I'm
Yes,
just
I will.
gonna, I'll sit it out. Don't count me on this one.
Don't count.
Yep.
Alexis, sit out or
I'll abstain, no problem.
abstention? Okay, we have, this was on the amendment now. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in favor and 1 abstention. No, none opposed. Now on the, is that okay, Prue? You got that?
I thought the count was 502 on the amendment.
If I need to vote, then I'm abstaining. Otherwise, I'd prefer not to vote.
John does not want to be recognized since he did not hear the entire discussion. So the vote will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in favor, none opposed, 1 abstention.
Okay.
Thank you,
Thank
Prue.
you.
Now, on the original motion to grant in part to the requested value of $1,110,400, all those in favor, please raise your hand. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in favor. Opposed? No opposed? Abstention? Alexis, do you wish to abstain?
Oh, I'm sorry, I will abstain. Yep.
1 abstention. So the vote, the appeal is granted in part to $1,110,400, and the vote is 5 in favor, no opposed, 1 abstention. Thank you.
Thanks, all. Welcome, Alexis. And I will defer to somebody else who has, if it's Alexis or Kathleen. And
Well, I think we have quite a few for Alexis to do, and so I think we should try to start to tackle that list.
Yeah,
If,
sounds good.
You're okay with that? And
Yeah.
let me just mention that we do have 7 members. And so if anyone wishes to rotate out during the evening, we can do that. And I believe that we have another person joining us later.
Yeah, and this is
Peter,
Kathleen. If Ronique or Catherine want to leave, they can certainly do that as well. So, right? Or what will we have? Will we be short? I'm counting here. I think Peter's joining us, but at some point.
Yeah.
I
you
can
wish
come
to-
back. I'll go make dinner and have dinner with my husband who's leaving tomorrow, and then I'll come back and then rotate through. Is that good? Does that work for everybody?
It does. If you step step out at 6:11, that's fine. We will have 6 members, and if Ronique steps down at 6:11, we will still have 5 members. We'll have a quorum for voting. Thank you.
Thank you so much, guys. I'll see you guys later.
Okay, bye.
Thank you for your help.
Take care.
All right. Alexis, the floor is yours.
All right. Thank you. And I'm so sorry for my absence the last few nights. I've been a little under the weather, so thank you for bearing with me. Anyway, Alexis Harrison here. So we will go to appeal number 420. And that the address is 445 Fairfield Beach Road, and the owners are, or the owner is June T. McKenzie. She and her husband both appear in front of us, or in front of me, I should say. Just scrolling through my notes here. So I'd like to make a motion to bring down the value of the home from 3.624 million down to the applicant's opinion of fair market value of 2.7 million.
Is there a second?
I'll second. This is John.
Great, thank you. So I think this would be a pretty, I don't know, I think a pretty direct case here. So they brought, just a nice package of summary items, and one of them happened to be a refinance from March of 2020, I believe. I think it was 2020. I mean, it was definitely 2020. I'm just looking at the exact date here. Where the refinance of from the bank came at they obviously came out to appraise the house, and it came to $2.7 million, which is the price the applicants are seeking to for their appraisal. They had a few points to add. Excuse me. They noted in their package and to me during the hearing that they do in fact have an elevator, and they did pay to install it because they are getting on in years, and they paid about $31,000 for it in 2016. But they noted that the elevator in their appraisal was raised significantly. I think it was up to $60,000. Let me just double check that.
What, like 60,000 or 63,000?
Yeah, 63. Yeah, thanks, John.
I think that's the standard rate that the town
I
has.
I can't really say that. I'm not an elevator expert, so I don't know that.
No, I had one or two that had elevators in there, and I think that's the standard rate the town has. But I'll take a look later and see if there's a percentage good, because that number should go down.
Yeah, they did say
good.
they did purchase the elevator. They did have it installed in the house because they are getting older. Just 5 years ago, and they only paid about $30,000 for it. And they believe that roughly it would cost maybe now with appreciation with another 10,000. So I don't know what the average cost is for an elevator. I've never put one in, so I will have to take their word for it.
This is Ross. If I could just suggest a card correction.
Yes.
There's a couple of different elevator codes, and one in particular brings it in at 37,000 with an assessment of 25,900. So if you're interested in making a card correction, you can take care of that and have that fixed.
What did they pay for it in 2016?
I mean, according to their paperwork, I don't have a receipt. I think they said it was 31,000.
So now it's going to be, if we take Russ's suggestion, it'll be worth more than when they put it in.
Yeah, they paid 1,000. That 31,000. Yep.
This is Harold. Did they provide any receipts for the elevator?
No, they didn't.
All right. And did that estimate of cost, was that for the elevator itself, or was it for the installation and the elevator?
They didn't specify to me. They just weren't sure why the elevator appreciated so much.
So I'm asking Ross, is the reason that we have different codes for elevators, does that depend on how many levels the elevator goes up, or anything of that nature?
Not on a residential. On a commercial, we do value stops.
Okay, so how come you have how come the assessor's office has multiple codes for elevators?
Different types of elevators, different sizes.
Sizes, okay. Not the levels, but size, okay.
Yeah, in a residential, we're not valuing each stop because there's usually not more than 2 or 3.
Okay, it's the same. All right, so that's a coding correction that could be made.
Do you want to do that first?
Appreciate that. Thank you.
So
Can
we're
we do
gonna,
that first?
Sure.
Paulette, you have your hand up?
yeah, I just want to be clear on what we're doing. So we're gonna code this, we're gonna make a code change on the elevator. And we're gonna code that price as 37,000. Is that right?
There's going to be a correction made by the assessor's office to the code on the elevator, and then we will continue our discussion about the entire value of the property.
Right, but I'm questioning the code on the elevator since it's $7,000 more than what they paid for it.
I think the code is a standard code, just like the bedroom codes and bathroom codes and things of that nature. It's a code that's on the card. We're not changing the codes based upon the price that an appellant paid. The price that the appellant paid that they claim is going to be taken into consideration for the entire property value that we will discuss after the change is made to the card to correct the coding.
So we're gonna correct it to a different, whatever.
We're correcting it to a different lower number, yes, for the benefit of the appellant. Okay, so do we need to vote on that change? Does anyone know, John or Kathleen?
I believe we do, right, Kathleen?
This is Kathleen. If you want the change to be effective in the 2020 grand list, we should approve it. If they want to wait till the 2021, then, but we usually do it as 2 separate motions. It's not an amendment. It's just we do a card correction is motion 1, and then we go back to the appeal. So we could she could table her first motion, but that amount's going to change. The town amount's going to change by the amount of the elevator, assuming we're approving it. But
Alexis?
I just had a quick question, just as it pertains to like card corrections to what you just mentioned, Kathleen. I guess what I just want to understand is, this has been a point that's come up a few times now. I probably should have asked her earlier. Do applicants, do they have to put in a formal card correction if something is off, whether it's square footage or an elevator or something like that? Like, should they do that themselves, or is that up to us as board members?
So this is, normally, like, if you have a problem in your house, you can just call the assessor's office and they will come out, take a look. And if the card is incorrect, they will fix it. But because the grand list has been signed already, those fixes don't normally go into place until, till next year. So once the grand list has been signed in the end of January. So at the end of we did it last year, I don't know if you remember, but once we're done, Ross will hand us a list of all the card corrections for people that did not appeal. And then we usually vote all those card corrections through. It could be 50 of them, it could be 100, it could be 12, but we vote those all usually as one motion to accept his recommended card corrections. But in this case, when they appeal as well as need a card correction, the numbers get a little complicated. So that's why we've been voting them separate with the appeal rather than having him put it in the bulk card correction. But otherwise, if you want it for the 2020 grand list, we do need to approve it because the grand list has already been signed. He can't change the grand list. Does that make sense? Or Ross, did I get that right?
You got that right.
Okay.
All right, so
the card correction is then set. So no matter what you do with the rest of the appeal, that aspect is changed.
All right, and so the card correction would be to reduce the value of the elevator to $37,500. Was that the correct number?
No.
Well,
Let me give you the new appraised value with that reduction.
Yes.
It would be $2 million. The You want value, right? A value would be 3.6 million even.
Wait, can you repeat that, Ross? Sorry.
I'm sorry, 3,600,000.
And that is as opposed to the current value of $324,000 less. Okay. 3,600,000 is the new town value. All those in favor of the new town value, I'm going to call a vote on this. All those in favor of the new town value of $3,600,000, please raise your hand. Oppose? I see your hand now, Paulette. Okay. 5 in favor. The motion is granted. There's none opposed and no abstentions. It's unanimous, 5-0-0.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but who made the motion and who seconded the motion? Did I miss that, the change?
Well, I made the motion because I was discussing it with the assessor and the board. So I will say that I made the motion. And this, if we need a second, is there someone who would
I'll
second it?
second. It's John.
John seconds it.
Thank you.
Sorry, I overstepped that a
That's
bit.
okay.
So now getting back to the discussion of the value of the property. Any comments or input? Kathleen?
So this is Kathleen. So I looked at the appraisal. It's from March of 2020, so it's older. But I also, the comps are, where did the page go? I scrolled away from it a minute ago. The comps are Pine Creek Avenue, and they're not comps on Fairfield Beach Road, and it is a much older one that they have Penfield Road.
They do have a Fairfield Beach Road, but it's in a different zone. It's further away down.
It's way down. It's down the beach. It's not in this FB1 neighborhood, which is as we know from our presentation, it's the highest land value neighborhood in the beach area, right? This is whatever the condition factor is for that particular, for just the location adjustment for FB, what is it? FB1 is a 3.5. So it's the land in that area is exceptionally valuable. So that's why their land alone is almost what they're asking to go to. So they're asking for a 25%.
This is Ross. If I can interrupt, I think it's the wrong appraisal.
Oh, really?
So we should probably check the file.
Why, I see it as 445 Fairfield Beach Road.
Yeah,
What do you-
that's right.
I pulled up the wrong appeal.
Oh,
I pulled up appeal 445.
okay.
Never mind.
All right, I'll go. All right. I mean, I can't, I mean, they, professional appraiser came out to sorry, I didn't raise my hand. A professional appraiser, I don't know if, I assume they were doing their due diligence and kind of gathered the correct, comparison. So I don't know if it's our job to second guess those.
You're not going to win that argument, Alexis. It'll never happen.
Oh, this is Kathleen. They listed 3 other properties. They listed 825 Fairfield Beach Road, 831, and 869. Are those recent sales? Those are not the ones that are in their appraisal. All I'm saying is the appraisal is very old, and the comps are.
It's not that old. It's a year old. It's not that old.
Well, compared to what's happened in the beach area in the market, it is. Those are, those, we like to see the dates as close as we can to 10/1/2020. So there's a sale, very close to that one for $4.2 million. So it's just really hard to say when the neighbor sells for that price that they should be at 2 point, wherever it is that they want to go. So that's what I struggle with. Was it 475 Fairfield Beach Road sold for $4.6 million on September 16th of 2020? It's a bigger house, but this is a big lot, same size lot. Built in 1983. I think the subject property is a new house, 5,500 square feet, but it sold for 4.6 right in the revow period. And 475 is probably right next door to 445. So with a $4.6 million sale, it's just really hard to say that they can be, you know, that low.
I have a
So are you
question.
suggesting that it would have gone up that much more in a matter of 3 months, 4 months? I don't know. I'm not a realtor. I don't know.
You should ask Ronique. He seems to be the real estate expert. Is he still with us?
Nope, he dropped. 831 Fairfield Beach Road did sell in December of 2020 for 4.15. Is that what you were just talking about?
This is Kathleen. She listed 3 in her list. I just, only because the appraisal, the houses are, you know, South Pine Creek and other locations.
Yeah, no.
So, and the other one was down the end of the beach. And we know that
Yep.
this part of the beach has the highest, you know, unless they adjusted the other one way up. But again, it was still an older sale. So if
I'm
they listed
looking.
better sales that are comparable to theirs in age and size and location, land, but the town has their land alone at what? It's a half acre on the water. That's a valuable piece of property. So
The neighborhood adjustment, by the way, I don't know what was said earlier, is 2.25. So it is multiplying it more than twice, okay? And the land value by itself is 2,158,400, okay? And again, the revaluation period took into consideration sales that were done in the period to determine the value of this property. And I'm not in a position to say if the neighborhood adjustment is correct or not correct, because it affects all the homes in that neighborhood. And it is the number that was used by the revaluation people and is the number that's accepted by the town and the state of Connecticut. So and if we have evidence of comparable sales that are in this FB1 and they are equivalently valued, not equally, but valued on the same basis, I don't see the reason for the change.
I do.
Yes, so please convince me differently.
Well, I don't know that I'm going to be able to do that because minds are always made up before we even start to talk sometimes. But
Paulette,
excuse me, I'm talking.
That's really out of order. I'm
Really?
asking you to try to convince me, okay? Because what we do in these deliberations is we hear everyone's opinion, and sometimes opinions are changed based upon the arguments of the individuals and the reasoning that's given by the individual. And to say that we all are coming in with our minds made up, it seems to me, I recall you saying that everybody should be coming into these meetings with their mind decided so that we're not spending a lot of time debating, and that we have no need to schedule which appeals we're going to hear, because everybody should be ready to hear to present any appeal. I recall you saying that. It's recorded. So don't assume that you don't have the ability to change someone's mind.
If I wanted to talk about all the things that were recorded, most of us would probably be in a courtroom. So let's not talk about what's recorded, okay? So let's just talk about this property.
All right.
I don't
So
see
talk about it, please.
Okay, I'll talk about it. Here's my problem, Harold. Let me tell you why I get so agitated about this with regard to this appeal, all right? We have an appraisal right away off the bat. We have never entered into a discussion about an appraisal where it's, okay, here's the appraisal, let's look at it. It's right off the bat, something's wrong with it. It's too old. This comp's not right. This is the wrong neighborhood. These made up neighborhoods have no bearing on reality. Now the state may have approved them, that's up to them. But they're not based on reality. They're based on somebody that wanted to finagle numbers for a land curve. It's not market value. Our job, according to the handbook, is to try to find the market value, not the curve value, not the numbers that the assessor used, the market value. Tell me why this particular piece of property is so much more valuable than the property in the comp at 15, whatever it is, 1513 or 1531. Why is that? I just looked them up on the map. They both have a lot of beachfront. They both look over the sound. I don't see what makes the value so different with two narrow lots on the beach.
Anybody wish to comment on Paulette's opinion?
So, Paulette, you're asking about the Fairfield Beach one in particular?
I'm asking about what makes those neighborhoods so different.
Well, this is Harold. I would say that what makes those neighborhoods so different is the value of the land that was sold during the revaluation period, the value of the properties.
I think we're back to Paulette. I think it's back to Mike Fazio and his justification of why he split FB8 the way he did versus, instead of making FB7, FB8, FB9, yes, I'm looking at the chart, and FB1 all one parcel or one parcel. You have a lot more, if you look, at least in my opinion, okay, in my view, FB8, you go drive down that part of Fairfield Beach Road, houses are crammed together, they're on smaller lots, etc. Okay, whereas if you look in FB1, there's a lot more space for width, I guess you could say, of lots and a beach on that. And I think that does make a value, difference. But
Kathleen?
Yeah, and I'm looking at the sales data for that area, right? So there was, another house on that street at 195. I look at the FB1 sales because that's hopefully the most comparable sales. So, there was a sale for 3.4 million in March of 2017, same size lot, 0.53 acres, the little bigger house at 5,400 square feet. That sold for 3.4 million in 2017. And then there was a land sale also in 17 for $2.7 million. So a half acre sold as a tear down, prior to COVID for 2.7 million in the land. And that's with no house on it. And then we have the sale right next door, again, a little bit bigger house, but for $4.6 million, it sold in September of 2020. So there's, you get 3 sales right in a row there that say that the value in that area, especially that land sale at $2.7 million, and that was in 17. So there's value right in that strip of homes. It's called I don't remember what Mr. Fazio called it, whether he called it the gold section or something.
We called it the Gold Coast, I think.
Desirable section of Fairfield Beach. But we know that.
He's the expert on Fairfield Beach Road. Okay, no problem.
I don't.
He seems to know it all, so I guess we'll go with that. But I don't think sales from 2017 are appropriate for this, because if I tried to use them to justify something, you'd be the first one to say, "Oh no, that was."
Yep, I agree with you, Paulette. 2017 sales shouldn't be taken into consideration.
This is Harold. I think
Things are higher now than they were in 17. We know that.
Hey, this is Harold. I would like to say that I don't think the Board of Assessment Appeals is in a position to make changes to how the MVS has done its valuations during this reval period. And I know that you, Paulette, personally have many questions about why the neighborhoods are defined the way they are. And you're not alone. There are many of the appellants who are also questioning why their neighborhoods are coded the way they are and why their values have changed so much. And, we're not in a position to change that. We can't change that. So questioning it is, I think, a futile effort. If, if, for example, some of the townsfolk want to get together and have a class action suit against MVS, that would be a different question. We are not going to be able to do that. So we have to deal with the facts as they are and make determinations based upon the best sales information that we can come up with, because we're not able to change those neighborhood codes. Simple as that.
It's not that simple, but if you say so.
Well, convince me differently.
I can't, because you believe those codes are accurate and I don't. We could do all night. We could do this all night. I won't get. won't be
How
productive.
can I not believe they're accurate if that's what we have, those are the cards that were dealt? And to say that they're not accurate doesn't change them. That's what I'm saying, Paulette. If we don't think they're accurate, we can't change them.
Well, then I don't know how we're gonna decide on any appeal then, because if we don't, oh, never mind, whatever. Doesn't matter.
Again, if you wish to try to convince the board members differently, you have the opportunity to do that.
I have no interest in doing that. I'm done. Vote whatever way you think is best.
I think we should all vote our opinions.
It should be, we should vote the facts, but we always vote our opinions, so let's continue to do that.
Okay. Any further discussion on this particular appeal? I'll call a vote. All those in favor of granting this appeal to the requested value, please raise your hand. I have one in favor. All those opposed, please raise your hand. I have 3 opposed. Abstentions? I have 1 abstention. Peter, did I hear a vote from you one way or the other? I can't hear you.
I wasn't here for most of the conversation, so I'm not going to vote.
All right, there's no vote. So the vote is 1 in favor, 3 opposed, 1 abstention. Peter is not voting. And Catherine, you're not with us right now. Okay, we have the 6 members, 5 voting. The appeal is not granted. Thank you. Alexis, do you have another?
Yeah. Great. All right. Thank you. We will move along here to appeal number 528. Again, this is another Fairfield Beach Road home. Again, appeal number 528, and the owner is Thomas Scalera. And I'd like to make a motion to, I'm just looking at the paperwork. So the town's, I'd like to make a motion to bring the town's value down from $5.180.7 million down to the appellant's opinion, the fair market value to $4.5 million.
This is John, I'll second.
Thank you. For background, Mr. Scalera provided, some content to his, on his home and why he thinks it should be brought down. I did have further conversations with him because I just need some clarifications on things. And to the assessor who was on the call, he would like the home, he would like to make a formal request to bring down the square footage of the home. And I don't know what would be the appropriate way to do that, if it's for me to do that or for him to do that. So if you can guide me on that, that would be helpful.
Ross, did you hear the
Yeah,
question?
I mean, normally you guys would submit a request and we would
Okay.
make an appointment to go out and remeasure the house.
All right. Very good. Thank
Can
you.
you say what in particular?
So apparently, Ross,
What it was?
there's a large atrium in the home, and he believes that's being counted as a square footage.
I'm sorry, a large what?
Atrium, and it's an open atrium space, and it accounts for 538 square feet. And he believes that's being counted towards the total square footage of his home. So he thinks it should be brought down to 5316 square feet. So,
Yeah, I'm looking at his sketch and it's a rather complex sketch. I can certainly have my field person reach out and see if we can get there on time.
okay.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Ross, this is Kathleen. It does say in the notes on the field card, it says living area square footage correction. So does that mean you've already been?
I saw that too, Kathleen.
Oh, yeah.
And I did ask him about that because I noticed that on the field card as well. That's a good point to bring up. And he said he's personally never made a formal request to have it changed. I don't know if the previous owner did and he wasn't aware of it. I don't know.
I do see something about back in March of 2020, looks like there was some kind of correction done.
We, this is Ross. We have the square footage right now at 5854.
So he's saying it should be less. It should be 5316.
All right. I mean, Ken has been out there. I can certainly, you know, I can speak to Ken. He can provide some feedback if you like from what he saw. I mean, you tell me how you would like information from him.
No, I'll defer to you on
obviously
how to do that. Honestly, that's obviously your area of expertise. He just did note it a few times, and I did ask him if he put in a formal request, and he didn't. So I don't know.
Well, this is Harold. Alexis, do you think that he would like verification of the living space that he claims to be correct?
I think that would be helpful. Yeah, thank you.
All right. So, Ross, I think that both Alexis and I believe would be a good idea to have Ken try to get out there at the earliest possible convenience to do that measurement and analysis to make sure that we have the square footage correct and thereby make any corrections that are needed on the card. And then we can take no action on this and have it brought back at a later date.
Okay. I mean, I'm just saying Ken was out there in March of 20. So if you want me to have him go back out, and that was after, it's been the same owner. Prior to this, the square footage was at 6685, I think it was. But I'll have Ken go back out.
Okay, and also I would point out that there was a reduction made as a result of the informal hearing. I don't know what that had to do with, though. Okay, any further discussion before we take the suggestion of taking no action? Okay, let's take no action on this one then. Alexis, do you agree?
Yeah, no, I agree, and thanks for doing that due diligence there, Ross. I'm just going by the information of what he told me, so I presume Ken got it, but
Well, okay, we'll get to the bottom of it. I mean, otherwise we're just guessing.
Yeah, fine.
So let's move on to another.
Okay. Great. All right, we'll move down to another one on Fairfield Beach Road. Sorry, I'm just looking down on my. Give me a minute, you guys. Sorry. I had one from Chris Russo, from attorney Chris Russo, so I'm just looking that one up. He had a whole bunch, so sorry. If somebody else is ready before me, then go for it, but I will just need another minute here.
Which appeal is this? I'm sorry.
I can go if you're ready.
Okay.
If you want me to go.
Is that you, Peter?
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is Peter.
Thank
Yep. All right. So this is appeal number 227, which is 1810 Fairfield Beach Road. The owners are Elizabeth and Ken Davey. Kenneth Davey was the appellant, and the current value of this home is $1,538,400, and they're asking a reduction to $1,173,490. So they changed their requested value at the hearing. So that's $1,173,490, and I make a motion to grant the requested value at $1,173,490. Do I have a second?
I'll second. Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Okay.
You have a second. I was
This is
just,
Kathleen, I'm sorry, Peter, can you just round that to 500, because we can't do the 90s? So
yes,
round it
Okay,
up,
sure.
right?
All right, so I make,
1,173,500.
that's,
Sure.
Carol, that's
So I
what I
make a
was going to
motion-
suggest.
all right, yep. I make a motion to approve the request at 1,173,500. And I have a second for that. Harold, you were the second?
I'll second, yes.
Kathleen? Okay, all right, thank you. Okay, so this property is in that FB8 area. It's on 0.235 acres. It was sold in 7/16/19 for $1,520,500. New construction in about 2005. It's got, let's see here. It is about it's 2,412 square feet, 4 bedrooms, 2.5 baths. It does have some condition adjustments for the size and proximity and the topography. It's got about 17% depreciation, and the appellant argued that the quality and the size is difficult to find comps on the peninsula. He said this was when he bought it was a private sale. He provided a couple, just talked about that the land seems to be increasing inconsistently. He had an attached spreadsheet. Sorry, I should have gotten that up here.
I believe page 10.
Yeah. There we go.
So this is Kathleen, I'm just reading, sorry to interrupt you, Peter. I'm reading his letter
Sure,
to Ross, because it is, when I'm looking at the card now, it is a PC, right? It is coded as a Pine Creek, or what's the, or an FB7? What is the, let me look.
I have FB8.
Yeah, I think it's a PC4 on the card now,
Oh, okay.
because it's on the creek side, right? So FB8 is incorrect. It should be PC4. So if Ross can confirm that the value that's assigned to that property is a PC4 value and not a
Not the FB8.
and value.
This is Ross. If you read the response, it explains why that FB8 code was used.
Oh yeah, I think it's that there.
Oh, it is FB. Oh, does he have a access?
Yeah, you want to bring that up, Ross?
I can do that.
I forgot about that. Sorry. I coded it. I put it in the PC4 creek group because it's on the creek, but you're right.
So while we're waiting for this, Peter, did he give any sales comps? I'm still scrolling through, so maybe I haven't gotten to it, but I'm at page 14.
Yes, I have three comps that he provided. They're all old sales though. All right, he did provide 1504 Fairfield Beach Road, and
Is this starting in is March 2nd? On page 17 or 16, 17 in the file. Just so I'm looking at the right thing.
Yeah, I'm trying to go back here. Just
This is Harold. Ross, while we're looking at this,
yeah, you in that. Whoops, sorry. Go ahead. Harold.
I should say to Peter and the board, looking at the map that Ross brought up, before I ask Ross. I see two houses to the right of this subject property, another house that looks like it may have a pathway to the beach, a narrow strip. Does everyone see that? Two houses up? And since there was some question about the coding of this being an FB8 versus a PC4, for the sake of consistency, can we see what the address of that is so we can look at that field card and see if it is coded the same way as a FB8?
Yeah, Harold, this strip right here that my cursor is on,
Yes?
that is not connected. Oh, it is connected to the other property. I stand corrected.
I would assume it was. So do you know the address of that so I can look at the field card and then we can continue with
Yep.
the discussion that Peter was having? Just the address, please.
790.
790?
1790.
1790. Thank you. I'm going to look at that. Go ahead, Peter.
All right. So just, he provided these three comps, the 1504, 1883 Fairfield Beach Road and 1800 Fairfield Beach Road. And, the 1500, 1504, I mean, slightly bigger, land and property. I mean, it was a, sale in 2017, for 650. All right. Same kind of conditions, on the land. The 1800, smaller, lot, but a larger, square footage, significant work done, in 2016 and 17. And that's a PC4, as well, with a condition of 0.9 for the proximity. And, the 1504 is actually, it says it has deeded beach rights and, it's got a, 0% on the depreciation. And this one, the 1800 has an 8% on the depreciation. And then finally, the 1883, much larger home, over 4,000 square feet, and a little bit larger lot at 2.88 acres. That's an FB8 property as well. And that sold, in 99, it was sold in 99. It was $0 anyway. So that is about 7% depreciation. So, these are, looking at their appraised value by the town. I mean, this, 1883 is, has the land's valued at $1,139,000. And versus his, which was valued at, what was his valued at? $1,084,300.
So this is Harold.
Anyway, so Harold, what did you find out about that land?
The property at 1790 is 0.227 acres or 9,870 square feet and is designated as a PC4. And unlike, and this property is 0.235 acres and it is split between 5,000 square feet of for the building area and extra or excess acreage of 0.12, whereas the other property is all at one condition. Now, the neighborhood adjustment on both is 2.2 250, but this is an FB8. The land is split, whereas the other one, the land is contiguous. Not contiguous, but it's lumped together, shall we say, and it is a PC4. So I don't know why there's that inconsistency. And
What do you mean
I
they're
would
lumped
ask-
together, Harold?
Pardon?
What did you mean by that they're lumped together?
Whereas the building lot, the zone BD, the land unit is 9850. And on the 1810 property, it is split for 5,000 as a BD and 1.12, or I don't remember what the number was. I'll have to go back, but the
it's 1.12.
0.12, and it's split, which may be beneficial. Well, I don't know if it is beneficial because I don't know how the math works out on that. Okay, but I see the land on the subject property has a total of 1,084,300. Is that correct? At 1810, and the other is 911,600 for a comparable piece of land, but the difference is that it's coding. The location code is different, and the land units are all one figure of 9,870 square feet. And so my question is, why is house two houses away? Why is the land line valuation section different?
Harold, this is Ross. I don't know. The coding hasn't dramatically changed in this area. A lot of it's been carried over for many years, 15, 20 years. I do remember this particular house. I worked on this one and went back and forth as to whether it should be coded as an FB8 or a PC4. And ultimately decided to give it a beachfront code and reduce it since the house is not actually on the beach. That's how I felt to produce the best value.
And this is Harold, and neither is the house at 1790 directly on the beach.
Yep, that's it. It should be consistent. I agree.
Now there's, I haven't looked further up and down the street to see if there are other properties that fall into one of these two categories, but I think they should be consistent in this FB8 area or the PC4 area. PC4 area is certainly a different, smaller portion than the FB8. It is a subset of the FB8, and I think that houses in the PC4 areas should be treated equally. My opinion.
Right. It only affects the land, not the house.
I understand, but we're looking at one parcel of land at 1790 with a value of 911,600 versus the subject property, which is 1,084,300, and that's a difference of what, approximately $175,000, $174,000.
I don't disagree. They should be coded the same.
Okay. So do we wish to make a card change based upon that one example, or do we want to look for other examples? I would propose to make the card change based upon that one example. And then if we find others or if the assessor's office finds others, to make the change as well. Yes, Kathleen, I'm sorry, if you had your hand up for a while, I was looking at the cards.
No, that's fine. So, I mean, you know, because he's got an FB8, it's got a 0.9 adjustment factor on it. It is bringing his land down. Yeah, I don't know if it, you know, if we did a PC4 and took off the adjustment factor, you know, then that would put his property in line with the creek. And then we have to figure out how you would give him a bump up because he has deeded beach rights, right? He has a pathway to the beach. And that's, I mean, we see that on other properties as well. We talked about that last night with one of those, you know, with the sale down at the end, the vacant lot, and, you know, oh, that has deeded beach rights. Well, they must have access to the beach somehow. That increases value. But I agree, his home in general is probably, you know, and whether he changes it to a PC4 and takes off the code, it may drop the land a little bit, but then you have to bump it up for the right of way. And that other person probably should be bumped up for having, you know, for having beach access as well, and just didn't get put on his card.
Well, in rebuttal to that, I would still say that there should be consistency, and Paulette, I'll get to you in a minute.
I agree.
There should be consistency, and I don't know what it will do to the other values, but let's get, if we believe that the MVS coding is correct and going by the map, we can see what the codes are, and whatever valuation is affected by those codes should be applied to this house, irrespective of what other conditions may exist.
Right, and this Kathleen, I mean, he did pay, right? I mean, he bought it last year, so,
Okay.
and what we know, the beach hasn't gone down, right? Didn't he buy it in?
Right, but the
Yeah,
coding
he
was,
bought it in just outside the reval for $1.5 million. So I'm not saying his value is wrong. I'm just saying, you know, if we're gonna fix it around, we maybe should figure out if we feel that it should be compared to a other Pine Creek homes, but it should get a bump because of the right of way or the beach access. I don't know.
again, we have another house on the street that has the same topography and it's coded differently. I don't know if it's going to go up or down, but we should get it consistent if we are to believe that the MVS and the MVS coding was done also last year during the process. So let's get the coding in line if we are to believe that the MVS coding is what we're dealing with, and let's get it correct when it's obvious that two homes in the same proximity with the same topography are coded differently. Paulette? Paulette?
Thank you. I'm glad you brought, yes, I'm here. I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm glad you brought up the consistency factor because I've always complained about we need to be consistent. So let's go back to talking about last night's appeal where we did not grant an appeal to someone who asked for a reduction or in price because somebody else had a walkway that he didn't have. Now we're saying that this person has a walkway onto the beach and we're going to bump his value up because of it. So we can't go both ways. If we're going to bump him up, then okay. Yes?
Yes. I prefer that we don't bring up examples that are not pertinent to this discussion because the example that we had last night had to do with one party claiming a value on another party's land that had nothing to do with his land, okay? As you recall, we had that discussion already, and I think when we have already voted on an appeal, we should not revisit that appeal other than doing a value comparison, not on how we decided on it.
Okay, Harold, let me stop you for a minute, okay? Because now you interrupted me. This is the fourth or fifth time tonight that you have interrupted me and cut me off and refused to hear what I have to say. You go ahead and talk over me. So now you are out of order, Mr. Chairman.
I'm saying that it's inappropriate for you.
But it is not inappropriate because you didn't hear what I was going to say. You never heard the end of what I was saying.
Go ahead, finish.
Thank you. So what I'm saying is, last night we could not decide on a value of that simple land. And that was a big part of the problem. Now tonight, We have a strip of land. Now we're going to say, okay, let's bump it up because he's got a strip of land. How are we going to bump it up when nobody knows what the value is? You can't have it both ways. You can't but he's one night and another night, or bump somebody's value up one night and not account for a value of a piece of land on the night before. That is inappropriate. And Harold, if you're not behavior and you know all night and torture me and bully me, then let's talk about it privately and we'll finish it up. Because I've about had it with the way you treat me.
All I want to say is, just because we made a mistake in the past doesn't mean that we have to continue making mistakes.
How could you say that, Harold? We made a mistake, so somebody has to pay more taxes because we made a mistake?
No,
Now,
you're saying that we made a mistake.
you just said we made a mistake in the past.
I'm saying that you think that we made a mistake. I'm not saying that we made a mistake. You think we made a mistake.
No, I don't think you made a mistake. I didn't vote for that. I voted to grant that appeal, but that's not the point. The point is the same little strip of land, one night has no value, the next night we're going to make it have a value. So it ain't either not have a value or always have a value. That's all I'm saying. Either it's always got a price on it or it doesn't have a price on it. It isn't a price on this one and no price on the other one. That's what I'm trying to get across to you.
Okay, I have to say that I disagree because this is not a comparison of equals. The land value in the property that we discussed last, and I hate to go back to what we determined and discussed at last year, but just my understanding was that the property that right-of-way was associated with was a property that had a value in excess of $2 million in total, okay, and had nothing to do with the property that was being appealed. That's all I'm saying, that it's not relevant in this situation, because in this situation, we do have a square footage that is well-defined for the particular property that is being appealed, and that's what we are focusing on. So we are trying to be consistent because I see that there are two parcels of land that are separated by one, I think it was only one house in between, and both of them have a right-of-way, but they're coded differently. So I'm focusing on just the coding. I don't know if it's going to go, you said it's going to go up. I don't think it's going to go up. Maybe it will, maybe it won't, but let the coding dictate that.
Perfect, Harold. Absolutely. I'm sure you're absolutely right, as always. I would never be right, but you just go right ahead and think your own way. By the way, I have a question. When we hear people talk about, we can't do that or we can't make that number work, who's the we that we're talking about? Is that Kathleen and the assessor, or is that the rest of us? Because I never said I couldn't make a number work. So I just want to clarify who we mean by we use the word we.
I can't define that.
Well, can somebody define it? Because it's being said, and I don't want to be involved in something that I don't agree with. So if we means all, I disagree.
Sometimes the we means the board. Sometimes the we means the town. Sometimes it's the royal we. Like when I say we, it's the royal we. So, it depends on the situation. We could mean the town.
Mm-hmm.
We could mean the board, and we can mean the people who are voting one way or another way. They can have many different meanings depending on the situation. So I think you have to look at it with that flexibility.
Certainly I will. And I think while we make it flexible, that'll be fine. Nobody's going to ever admit what really it means, but that's okay. We means that does not mean.
Paulette, are you in favor of us continuing with our appeals?
I don't care, Harold. Do whatever you want. You will anyway. You want to continue? Continue. I won't interrupt again. I have nothing to say. Obviously, I have nothing of importance in your mind, so I'll just sit here and listen.
All right. So I'd like, again, yes, Peter, it's your appeal. You're muted. Can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
You can, all right. So listen, I you know, I mean, I do see that this is a, you know, I think you've, you know, caught something here, right? And thank you for doing that. I do think though that the original coding on this property, this subject property, is correct. I mean, this is, you know, this kind of beach access does have value, and in my opinion, has value, and you know, it's been, you know, it's got a condition factor on it so that it, you know, brings the, you know, it's not a full beachfront type property. You know, I guess the question then is, what happens to the other property? And, you know, that's how I feel. I mean, I don't, you know, I don't think we should be reducing it to what the other property is. And I don't know what the numbers are. So, I mean, I guess we can either have those numbers, you know, run here and, you know, understand that. But I don't know if it's just, you know, the 1790 Fairfield Beach Road, you know, they keep at their, you know, current coding, and then in the next revaluation period, they're going to get, you know, bumped to a new type of coding. So, you know, which I know the appellant's not going to feel satisfied by that, but you know, I don't see that the coding on this is unfair. In my opinion.
I didn't catch the last part. Do you think the coding is what?
It's not unfair. I think it's
not,
you know,
unfair.
Correct.
Okay. Well, there is a big discrepancy between what the town's value is and what the opinions of the fair market value is. So I'm trying to get into.
And you know, I mean, I think the fair market value is supported. The town's fair market value is definitely supported by the sales price that the appellant paid, you know, just before the reval period.
This is Ross. I just noticed that the town value listed on the appeal is incorrect. The correct value should be $1,538,400.
538,400.
Right. The value we have on it is $1,538,400.
I agree with that.
think
I see that on the field card too.
I think it's because there was a reduction during the informal, and that's probably the number prior to that informal hearing reduction.
That's the number that's the number I have anyway. I have the number 1,538,400 on my sheet.
Yeah, I saw that. Just wanted to make sure we had it right.
Sheet. Yeah.
All right, this is Harold. My mistake. I was reading off of the appellant's petition. I didn't reference the field code. All right. So any further discussion or comment? Are we ready to vote? I will call a vote. All those, Kathleen, did you want to say something? You're muted.
You're on mute.
I was just going to say, I think, you know, it would be helpful to have notes on this card, regardless of how we vote, to say that this property does have beach access, right? Because it's not a separate landline item. You know, often we have the separate landline item for the creekside properties or something. So there's really nothing on the card that says, you know, that this has beach access, right? Or that it comes with deeded, you know, I don't know if it's a deeded beach right or right of way, or it's an actual physical piece of land that has a square footage that we value. But I feel like, you know, this comes up, and, you know, we know it adds value. The question is, how much value does it add? But it's important to track it, I think. And right now it's not being, you know, even indicated on the card. So that was it.
Well, we did see the landline, including that beach access. I believe that's what we saw in the map that Ross brought up. So don't think it changes the facts, and anybody can study the plot plan or land line and determine what the square footage is and determine what the deed says about that. But in terms of valuing this property to the town's value versus the appellant's value, all those in favor of granting the appellant's requested value, raise your hand. I have 2 in favor. Opposed, raise your hand. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 opposed. The motion is not granted. The appeal is not granted. The vote is 2 in favor. That's Paulette and Alexis, and 4 opposed. No abstentions. Thank you.
Okay, Alexis, do you want me to continue?
Catherine has joined us. It is 7:17 p.m.
Okay, I'll do another one here, please. This is Appeal 451, and it's for 839 Fairfield Beach Road. The owner is Sarah Frick McKellar, and Greg Lane, Property Consultants, was the appellant. Greg Lane was the appellant. And the town has this property valued at $2,353,200, and the appellant's asking for a requested value of $2 million.
I had
Originally,
2,250,000, so that's different, Peter?
Right. Originally, they had $2,250,000, and they asked to drop it to $2 million.
$2 million, okay.
You
so
made
this
a,
is a,
you make a motion?
Oh,
Did
sorry,
you make
yeah. So I make a motion to grant the appellant's requested value to $2 million. Do I have a second?
This is Harold. I'll second.
Harold, thank you. All right, so this home is, pardon me. Let's see, so this is new construction in October of 16. It's on the waterfront here. It's an FB8 home, 3 bedrooms, 3.5 baths on 3.324 acres and 3,107 square feet. It does have some condition for a 0.9 for waterfront and shape. And there is also a second home on the, or second building on the property, which is 5 rooms, 3 bedrooms, 1 bath, and that's 1,108 square feet. And let's see here. Okay. What he was calling the accessory dwelling unit is on the sound side, has 2-car garage with the apartment above it. And he provided, again, let me, sorry, we got to get this out. Uh, 451. So he's, you know, he was claiming, similar to his argument last night, that this is, you know, because of the shape of this land, that, you know, the building structure is very limited, and, you know, you'd have to build back from the water because of dimensions. He provided an appraisal. and he used 901 Fairfield Beach Road, and adjusted that. That was a sale in 11/3/20 for $2,127,000, and he adjusted that down to $1,820,630. That was a updated home in 2007. It's got about 15% depreciation. That's an FBA as well. It does have a chef's kitchen, and the bathrooms are considered modern, so updated. Much smaller acreage, and about 3,038 square feet home. He also provided 1053 Fairfield Beach Road, which was a 9/11/20 sale, and that was for $1,735,000. That's a little further away from this, but still, 0.2 of a mile away. He adjusted that down to $1,630,350. That was new in 2004 and updated in 2013 in the third floor and bathroom in 2012. That's an FB8 as well, about 18% depreciation. Again, this much smaller piece of property at 1.21 acres, and the square footage of the home is 3,283 square feet. And let's see, the 515 Fairfield Beach Road, that's an FB9. New in 1998, and some updates between 2000 and 2013. That was sold for $2,300,000 on 9/30/20, and let's see, that's 304 acres and 2,578 square feet, so a smaller, living area space, about 7% depreciation. And then finally, 2059 and 60 Fairfield Beach Road, which was sold on 3/19, March 19th, or March in 19 for $1,985,000. He adjusted that up to $2,017,720. I don't know. It says that the sale, or I guess it says that the 2060 sale was unqualified. So I'm not sure if that's just, I'm not sure what that means. And that's about 8% depreciation on that home. And that's an FB7 if I didn't mention that. So anyway, maybe this is another property that we should take a look at on the map, because it is a, it is a pie-shaped kind of piece of property. So Ross, if you could bring that up, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, this is Ross. I'll bring that up. And just on 2060, we have that unqualified because it included another lot.
And Peter, I'm assuming that the square footage and everything, bathrooms, all that, that's both units combined. Is that correct?
Let me just see there. No, the main home has 3 bedrooms, 3.5 baths. The accessory dwelling has 3 bedrooms, 1 bath.
Okay,
Which
so
actually, I guess on the appraisal, you guys have it as 4.1. Yeah, baths.
This is Harold. It appears that there are 2 separate measurements on the 2 cards.
So he has 3 bedrooms and 4.1 baths on the appellant, and so you think that it's both properties combined for a total of 8 rooms, or just the main one?
Combine the baths to 4.1. I think the appraisal says 4.1 baths, but it's really 3.1. So we might be just including the accessory apartment.
This is Harold. I believe that the main house is a 331, and then the cottage is a 3 bedrooms, 1 bath. That's the way I read it.
So
Yeah, that's how I read it as well.
Okay. Then am I looking at this right for what he has on the appraisal for just the first one? Because he has 3 bedrooms and 4.1 baths. And so it looks
that
like
would be,
that looks like he's combining the bathrooms but not the bedrooms.
right. That's what it does look like. Yep.
And the total of 8 rooms, is that just the, yeah. I'm just curious. I do see that because a lot of the adjustments being made, or a lot of the big number on the adjustment that I'm seeing here has to do with beachfront, and he has
Right.
$10,000 per foot difference in beachfront property per foot. I don't know. I don't quite know what to think of it. I haven't seen that in any of the other ones, or at least that I noticed. But, and are the comps, I'm looking at the comps, do they also have rental units in them, like the apartment, or not?
I don't believe so. I mean, I can tell you though that the, yeah, I mean, I think it already says in there what the, yeah, I don't believe so.
Okay.
John.
This is Harold. There's a picture in comp 1, but it looks like it's just a garage.
With the house behind it. And actually, you can see it on what Ross has posted here, because I believe that's 2 doors down from the appellant at 901. Is that correct?
Yeah, 901's a little further down.
Oh, it's a little further down. Okay, sorry.
I think it's this one here. The map, the parcel lines don't line up quite so well on the
Actually, I think it's
aerial.
the one next to it, right by the, almost
Yep.
like by the edge. Further to the right. Because that looks a
one.
little yellowish. And it looks like you have the garage area back and then something, the second story starts halfway back.
So,
So
I mean, I see this property as, I mean, it's a large piece of property, and I mean, yes, I guess you can't build down near the, close to the water because the property narrows pretty significantly, but there is a, condition factor on it for shape, and, it does, it is a fairly large piece of land. I mean, I think it's bigger than any of the comps that were provided. By almost, at least quarter acre bigger than the other largest one provided.
So on this appeal, it looks like the land value has increased about 7.5%, but the more of an increase went to the buildings themselves, and the buildings have no depreciation value.
Yeah, it was new construction in 2016, so it would have been after the last reval period.
And they're a grade 9.
And both buildings were, or just the main house? Peter?
I have it just on the main house.
Okay.
It looks like the other house was valued at 102,700. The accessory.
And that does have a depreciation code, a percentage of 42% and
Right.
a grade 3, so it's below average.
It's valued at 59,600. The 102.7 is before the depreciation.
Yes, 59,600, is it? No,
Yeah.
So, any questions about the numbers or the square footage?
Now, this is Kathleen. I was just looking at the, I'm trying to figure out the comp at the 901, right? It's a much older home, but the land's valued about the same size lot. Is that,
It's a smaller lot.
oh, right, it's
Right,
0.2.
901
That's
is-
why the land is, this is Kathleen. Okay, so that's why the land is about the same, because the subject property has a 0.9 on it, but it's almost 50% bigger lot than the 901 comp, right? Where in the appraisal, did he take a lot off for the land between 901 and this one? He took off almost $500,000, right? Took $430,000. That was his adjustment compared to
The 430 was for the, he took off for the waterfront.
right.
Yeah.
But did he add above because it's bigger? He added 10,000 to the site size. The difference between the 0.32 and the 0.21, he added only $10,000 for, a lot that's 50% bigger. For the next comp, he added $20,000 for the bigger lot in the beach, but yet he took off, 430.
He was using a site size of $100,000 per acre. That's how I got to because it's about a 10% of an acre difference. So if he's using 100,000 per acre, that would be where he got the 10%. And that
I see, but not when he adjusted for the beach frontage.
Yeah, the beach frontage though was at a 10,000 per square foot, or not per square foot, but per foot.
Yeah.
Per lineal foot.
So that's the part that, that is an older house. The 901 is older, it looks like. I don't know if it's been redone, but is the subject property?
2007 updated. A chef's kitchen and the baths are considered modern, coded as modern. So, and it's got about 15% depreciation.
The comp, the 901,
The 901, right?
built in 1918. Okay.
Yeah,
Let's see. So it's all redone, and that's the comp is FEMA compliant too, or is that? The comp is not FEMA compliant? Is that?
That's what it looks like on the card.
Yeah. Is the subject property FEMA compliant? Yes.
this is Harold. I know that the appraisers follow certain guidelines and do their adjustments based upon tables that are available to them. But just in general, as public beings, do we feel that $100,000 per acre is a right adjustable figure? I understand that that's what they're using, and they're using it because they're allowed to use that. But do we feel that that is reasonable to think an acre of land in the beach area is only worth $100,000? I'm just throwing that out. I don't expect necessarily yes or no. But
No, this is Kathleen. That's what's bothering, that's what's bothering me about the adjustments on that was the point, only 10,000 for the lot for a bigger lot, but yet the 430 for the front, 430,000 for this frontage. So I think the 901 is, I haven't looked closely at the 1053. The 515 is on the other side of the point. So I didn't look at that one closely, but sort of looking in this, looking at these ones. I don't know.
Hi, Judy has joined us at 7:36 p.m. Judy
Thank God.
Silva has joined us. So, if we're, again, with all due respect to the appraiser, if he's making adjustments that may seem to the common person to not make sense, I mean, I would have felt a lot better sticking with his original petition value for us to consider, because I think that some of the calculations in the appraisal don't seem reasonable to me, although maybe they fall within the guidelines of what an appraiser can do. It doesn't seem appropriate given this particular location. Any thoughts by anybody? Paulette, I see your fingertips now.
Yes, I'm not gonna even argue about the appraisal anymore. I'm tired of it. But let me just say that I didn't hear, unless I missed it, I could have missed it. I didn't hear anybody discussing comp number 4. And when I'm reading the appraisal, it said that 4 was added after the hearing from the evaluation company to expand search parameters to 1/2019 for Fairfield sales. So this comp was after you apparently had a conversation with somebody. I wonder if that was, if anybody really looked at that. Apparently,
I mentioned that in the beginning of my presentation.
Okay.
Yeah.
But Paulette, you did bring it up, so we should look at it. So that's certainly the right thing to do. Yes, Judy, you have your hand up?
Yeah, although I'm not gonna vote on this because I'm coming in midstream, I would like to know which file you're talking about so I can review it at the same time that you are, then maybe, and I have some input, even if I don't vote.
Certainly, it's 451,
And who is presenting?
Peter.
Okay, great. I see it. Thank you. And now it was something about the appraisal.
Well, Paulette suggested we take a closer look at the comp number 4, which I certainly agree that we should, since it's brought up, that it's one that we should consider in our deliberations.
So it appears that that fourth comp, the 259 and 260, in total, the land, it looks like the land adds up to about 0.22 acres.
Okay.
And
I do notice that
part of it, the 0.17 is FP7, coded at the FP7, and then the other part is PC4, the 0.52.
So comp 4 is 839 Fairfield Beach Road. Is that correct?
2059, and 2060 Fairfield Beach Road.
Yes, of course. I'm sorry. The subject was 2059 and 2069, much further up Fairfield Beach Road towards the end, right? Okay.
Yeah, it has a creekside lot though, right? That's the 2060.
But it looks 2059 and 2060 means he's got the beach side and then he has a creek, he has both.
Right.
looks
That's
like the
correct.
creek side is a garage. It's from the small picture. Let me see if I can see better.
And the sale price was $1,985,000.
Right, in March of 19. And I think he did, he did do an adjustment on that, in the appraisal.
And that is in the FB7 coding?
Right, the beach side is FB7.
So, Paulette, what's your comments about this as a comp? You pointed it out.
I just wanted to make sure we looked at it because he pointed it out in his just explanation. So I thought maybe there was a reason we should take a closer look at it.
Mhm.
I just thought, I just want to make sure that we looked at it. Talking about 901 all the time, and I just thought maybe we had missed this one, but apparently we hadn't. So I just thought I included it.
So I'm going to ask the board that's been party to this deliberation. I'd like to take your temperature about any judgments for making an adjustments or going directly to a vote. What's the consensus on that question? Speak up.
Yeah, well,
I'm not going to vote, but I do want to say something. And I'm just, I'm looking at this, I'm really accustomed to looking at appraisals. So here's what it looks like to me, and I haven't been a party to any of the conversation, but here's what it looks like to me. The appraiser comes in, he values this, he makes all kinds of adjustments. He comes out with a value of 2 million, and the appellant is asking for 2,250,000.
No, they moved it to 2 million.
Oh, she moved it to 2 million. Okay. All right. I thought that she was asking for more than the appraisal, but
I believe that they did ask for more, and then they did the appraisal after the fact.
Okay.
And then they went with the appraisal because, of course, it was lower.
Yeah, I don't know why we fight with the appraisals.
Well, I don't know if you were here at the time, but when he is valuing an acre of land for his adjustments on the beach at $100,000, I think that really, as a private citizen, defies my ability to believe that. I can't believe that valuing an acre of land on the beach and make an adjustment for a tenth of an acre at $10,000 or a 20th of an acre at $20,000, that doesn't seem to make sense to me. So I think that. Wait, let me finish. So just to finish what I'm saying is, although he may be allowed as a professional to use those tables and use those percentages and use $100,000 per acre as an adjustment figure, I think given the neighborhood, that might not be consistent with what the value is in the land area.
You know what that is, Harold? And you know what? I so appreciate that. And if you just look at it, it's like, oh my gosh. He says it's 10,000, it's, 0.10, 10,000. That's what it actually looks like. 10,000 equals an acre. That's not it. Number one, this is on a sliding scale. Don't we do the curve? Doesn't the town of Fairfield do a curve when they assess properties?
I would agree with that, with your comment, Judy.
Right.
Yeah.
So that is not that much of a difference, and that's why. That is why that's only $10,000. I wouldn't judge
but at the same time,
judge everything based upon that one thing because it's still on a curve.
Well, Peter, did you want to say something on that? Because I'm still believing that 10% of $1 million, $100,000 is $10,000. There's no curve involved. It's straight math.
It's not.
Yeah.
It's not.
I just think that I think that this is while it's an odd shaped lot and it has less of the beach frontage. Right, it does have a lot of room to build. If that, that's
Peter, I'm having a hard time
so
hearing you. I'm
available
sorry.
land to build.
Peter,
it was
you have
very,
to, Peter, you have to speak into your microphone. You have to speak
Yeah.
directly into your microphone. It's
I
being.
I thought it was.
Thank you.
Am I muted?
Nope, you're
No,
okay
it was
now.
just,
Here
it just
now.
very
Here,
muffled.
yes, it was just in
Okay,
your
now,
shirt
sorry,
collar or
sorry.
something.
Okay, sorry. Not used to all this high tech, you know? I just see that, you know, this land is a, you know, it's already been given a condition adjustment for its shape. And I mean, they have a significant piece of property on the beach. And yes, I mean, it does, I suppose, limit in some way how, you know, the structure that can be built on there, but it's still, you know, much larger piece of property than you know, most of them down there. So, you know, that's my feeling on it.
John?
Harold, you know, and Judy, I just want to say I'm looking at the field card here, and the land here, it's what, 0.32? Yeah,
For the subject?
0.324, the subject, yeah, right? And the town has that appraised alone at $1.2 million, right? And that's not anywhere close to an acre. You know, and so I just want to point that out.
This is Harold. I'm going to go back to my earlier question. Does anyone wish to make any amendment here, or do they prefer that we go directly to a vote? I'm going to ask for consensus here.
I'm ready to vote.
Okay. All those in favor of granting this appeal to the requested amount, please raise your hand. I have 2 in favor. All those opposed, please raise your hand. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 opposed. The motion, do you want to be counted as?
I want to abstain, so, because I'm here and I actually participated in the conversation, but I didn't hear the whole conversation. I think it's fair that I abstain.
Okay, I have 1 abstention, so the motion does not carry. It's 2 in favor, Alexis and Paulette in favor, 5 opposed, and 1 abstention, Judy abstaining. Thank you. Peter, another? Or Alexis, would you like to continue?
I can do another. Sure.
I'm going to start the timer, by the way. So we just have loose so we can just kind of gauge ourselves. Help it.
Yeah, we don't want to be here until June.
I appreciate your optimism. Where'd my file go? Oh my gosh, I just had it up.
So who's got the next reading?
I'm gonna grab it, but okay. So this is appeal number 16938. Seems awfully high.
Yeah.
That would be the property ID number. What's the appeal number?
It says number on the thing. How about 177?
Yeah.
Sounds right.
That sounds right to you, John? Okay, very
Yes,
good.
it does. And are you gonna, it looks like the property across the street is also being appealed?
Yep.
Okay.
But I believe, and I know we had a heated or energetic discussion about this the other night on these properties, and I don't believe, well, anyway, we'll figure it out. So the
Let's make a motion and second it.
Yeah,
and
let me
then
get there. Let me get there, Harold. Okay, so it's 1281 Fairfield Beach Road. And this property is, I'd like to make a motion to bring the value down from 500,000 to the appellant's opinion of fair market value of $545,000.
we
Is there
round
a
that
second?
down or up to 500 or 600?
That's down
fair
from
market.
854 down to 505. Do you want me to restate
505.
that?
Well, just because
I'll-
he's got 505, 545. Did you? And I thought that's what you said, 545.
No, I'm sorry. You misheard me. So the town's value is 854, 500,
Mm-hmm.
and he wants to bring it down to 505, $545,000.
This is Kathleen. Do I have an old field card? I see the 887600. Is that, do I have the wrong card?
I don't know what you have. I don't know what you're looking at.
1281. Maybe I clicked on the wrong appeal. Sorry.
No, yeah, I see that on the field card as well. This is for
Okay.
1281, right? Yeah.
Right. I see 887600 as the town value.
I see 854.5.
I'm going by what the petitioner put. I don't have the field card in front of me, so I'm going by what the petitioner put.
I see 854.5 on the field card.
That's what the appellant put.
Oh, that was for the land. That was for the land, the 854.5, and the total
Yes.
was 887.6.
The appellant, let's just be clear, put 854, 500.
The town's, this is Harold, the town's value on this
Town's value.
property,
He didn't decipher whether it was land value or what. He put 854 as the town's value. Okay.
all right, but this is Harold, we're discussing the entire property, so the total,
We're discussing 1281 Fairfield Beach Road. That's what we're discussing.
and 1281 Fairfield Beach Road, the property assessed appraised value is 887,600. That's on the town record.
I have a very important question, Alexis. Is it possible, I think we need to talk to the appellant before we vote on this, because maybe he's just appealing the land. Is he just appealing the land and that's why he wrote 854.5? Or did he feel that did he think he was doing the whole thing? I think we gotta get some clarification, unless it's already in here and you know already.
No, great question. So he wants to correct the assigned land area from 3250 to 3050 square feet. I mean, not a big differentiation there, but he still wants to have that changed on the field card.
So the land size is wrong on the field card?
That's what the appellant is saying, correct?
Okay, so when he started this and he did the 854.5, he was just going for the land. He wasn't going for the dwelling or the.
Right, the 854 is the land, is right, exactly.
So he only wants to discuss that, so he's not, we're only discussing the land portion of this.
Correct.
So the 30,600 for the dwelling and the residential outbuilding at 2,500, which equals 33,1, is in addition to whatever we decide on the land.
Yeah, and again, and he noted
It's
today that,
full appraisal.
right,
Is that
and
correct?
correct, and he told me that you can see in the pictures, I mean, it's kind of a bungalow. I mean, it's a very small, bungalow type of dwelling where people don't live there year round.
Okay.
This is Harold. So are we to assume that he believes that the fair market value for his land is 505, 545 as appraised value or assessed value?
He's saying it's fair market value.
Okay, so
That'd
that
be appraised.
You can see that.
would be an appraised value. Okay. And the town obviously has it appraised differently for 598,150 as assessed. And as appraised, 854,500.
Correct.
Okay.
Catherine has her hand up. Harold. I know you don't always see
I'm sorry.
everybody.
Yes, because I was looking at the cards. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Thank you. Just call out if I don't recognize you, just announce your name, please.
This is Catherine, and his last page, he has a nice chart, and the appeal
Yeah.
request says that the 505, 545 includes his improvements of 33-1. So while he's not debating or appealing he is saying that his land portion should be reduced to 472, 445, and that the total package would be appraised by the town at 505, 545. I hope that clarifies, because we were all talking different numbers, but
It does
he's got
for me.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Kat. Thank you,
Catherine,
Catherine.
you should have had this appeal.
it's like,
Okay, so what do we think about this?
Wait, do we have a motion on the, do we have a motion, and B, do we have a second?
I put a motion out there, John. I don't know if someone seconded it. I'd have
I'll
to know.
second it, Judy.
Okay.
Thank you,
Oh.
Mr. Parliamentarian.
Thank you. And Kathleen, you have your hand up?
Yeah, so it's just gonna, it looks like what he did was take the appraised land values of a variety of homes in the beach and come up with an average square footage, and then change his 3250 to, or whatever it is, to 3050, and multiplied it by the 154, right, to come to the 472. So that's his logic for what
Right.
he's asking
7
for.
minutes, everybody.
Minusing the correction, the 200 square foot correction on the measurement of his property. Now, I don't know if he submitted, I don't know, Alexis, do you know why he's saying that his property is 200 square feet smaller? I mean, either way, even if it is.
He's saying the property lines have never changed since it was last, looked at in 2015, and he didn't understand why that they were, raised.
We hit our 7 minutes, everybody. Just want to let you know.
Yeah. So this is Kathleen Ross. So did we change his land units up from 3050 to 3250?
Who's we?
The town. Sorry, we the town.
This is Ross. I'm looking back. I'm checking 2009, 2014, and 2017, and it's been, let me just check, 19. It's been 3250 since 2009, which was the 2005 reval. So it doesn't look like there's been any change in the size from the town.
This is Harold. I mean, that's easy to check with surveying maps. And I also noticed in 2014, the land was measured. So it is at least accurate to that date. Okay, any further comments or discussion?
I'm just looking to see, are any of the comps that the appellant provided on that last page sales?
No, he doesn't have any sales. He's looking exactly
He's
at
just- The square footage aspect.
the appraisal numbers, right?
Okay.
So what do we want to do with this, folks?
I'm ready to vote. This is Kathleen.
can I just ask a question for my own knowledge? Just, I've got a question. That's a tiny lot, 3250.
It's a tiny lot. It's a little bungalow.
Okay, no, it's a tiny lot, but say the bungalow wasn't there, like, is that just a non-conforming lot and he can replace the bungalow? Is that how that works? I mean, I was not familiar that lots got that tiny. Does anybody have an answer for that?
Maybe the assessor would know.
Kathleen, or, yeah, Kathleen?
Well, let her hand up.
Well,
Actually, this is Harold.
Kathleen, I don't know if Kathleen's a real estate person, but sure.
No, this is Kathleen. What I was going to say is I don't know the answer, but Harold and I had to make an appointment to talk to the zoning tomorrow to get answers to these kinds of questions about if you have a garage, can you put a second story on it? If you have a small house and you knock it down, can you keep the foundation? And try to figure out if there's maybe before we try to do all those creekside lots that are very awkward and may or may not be attached to the main parcels, does it make sense to have Jim Wendt come and help with some of these questions, in a general speak, because this is what comes up all the time. My lot is buildable, it's not buildable, we have a garage, we don't have a garage. And so, these are the kinds of questions, and the appellants are telling us they're not buildable or this and that, and they may be right, but they may be mistaken as well. So I think, this is a good question for this lot. Can they build something? But Jim can probably give us good background on how do they decide. Yes, but you need a variance. No, it's
This-
the original foundation. So I'm not saying I'm a broker because I don't know, but I think zoning is the best place to get those answers.
This is Harold. I would agree. The question of whether a lot is
Wait, hold on.
buildable or not is not determined by the BAA or the assessor's office. It is strictly a zoning question. And whether something can be built or not, in addition to it being a zoning question, that can be appealed to the zoning commissioner, and they can get variances in some instances. So on a particular parcel of land, to determine whether it's buildable or not is not in our purview.
No.
Yes, Paulette.
I think Alexis was ahead of me. Go ahead, Alexis.
No, I was just going to say that, but we've had, and I think that's great that you're having this conversation with Mr. Wendt and Ms. Harrington.
Emmeline.
Yeah.
Emmeline, yeah, and I'm just a little nervous though, because we've already made numerous decisions based on not having that information. So I'm just a little nervous what kind of, that could really impact a lot of decisions that we've already made, including one that I had on Monday evening. So it's a little late doing that on April 23rd.
That's understandable, and that could come up in appeals to the courts, and certainly any landowner can verify the buildability or unbuildability, if that's such a word, with the zoning commission. And if we have taken an appellant's opinion of that into our consideration, so be it. It may be for their benefit, or it may have been not for their benefit, but we were basing it on the information that we had at the time, and I think information and knowledge is a good thing, and that's why we are trying to get clarification on this going forward. I don't think the past is precedent for the future. Yes, Paulette.
I think it's good if Jim Wendt wants to explain it to us, but as I think you might have said, or Kathleen said, I'm not sure who, he'll give us a general overview. But in order to decide if a lot is buildable, truly buildable, you need a survey. Without a survey, we don't know for absolute certainty, so each lot is an individual thing. They can give it a ballpark, but it shouldn't be, taken as the final word. That person, the owner, would have to get a survey. That if the house comes down, sometimes you can build it back up, sometimes you have to leave one wall up. There's all different rules for different properties. So it'll be interesting to see what he has to say in general. But I don't think we're going to be able to take that and apply it to every lot on the creek side, because they're all different sizes,
I agree.
different frontage.
Yep, this is Harold. I agree with you too, and that's why I think we need to get some clarification, some guidance to understand what the parameters are that we can consider, and just how that works. Obviously, you have some knowledge about this, and that's great, but I think I want to educate myself some more, given the fact that we're going to be facing appellate's petitions where they say my land is not buildable, and we need to understand what the parameters are associated with that.
So I would think that the town would know. I mean, they're valuing these lots at extremely high numbers, but they're not sure that they're buildable either, I don't think, unless Ross does, and I just don't know it.
Well, it's my, again, it's my belief, as you're saying too, in your belief, I believe that the mass valuation company may have taken that into consideration when they looked at the valuations of the lands that were deemed to be buildable or not buildable in the town's records.
I have a question. This can't be the first appeal period that has ever come up. Why don't we have something in the Board of Assessment Appeals, some kind of guideline, because this is not the very first Board of Assessment Appeals that has ever happened. I know these kind of things. Well, my house, my land is not buildable. I'm sure it came up 5 years ago. I'm sure it came up 10 years ago. Why don't we have anything?
Judy, I think Paulette brought up the reason for that every situation is different. It has, well, wait, it's subject to a survey, it's subject to appeals, it's subject to what the Planning and Zoning Commission's guidance and guidelines are and what they're working under. Their rules are different than our rules. Our rules are this big. Our rules are to hear appeals and make decisions, and we can't assume that we know what's going on with the other commissions that have jurisdiction over topics or areas that pertain to landowners, but there are no guidelines for us to follow in that regard. All we can do is defer to the abilities that those experts have.
Okay, so here I've got, like, and it's not going to help us this time, but maybe for the next appeal session, then when someone says that their property is unbuildable, we put it in a separate kind of file or something before we even, if they put in their application. We're now at 14 minutes on this, by the way. So
No, that's a
we
good
put it in a separate, we put it in, oh, stop, okay. We put it in, when somebody says their land is unbuildable, when we get the application for the appeal, when they say it's unbuildable, we put it in a separate file, and then we just double check those before we get to the meeting. So that way, when we come to the meeting and the deliberations, we're going to have that information, and we don't sit here and debate it for 10 or 15 minutes or maybe 20 minutes or more. And we have the information.
Well, I would say,
That would be good for the next time. It's not working out.
I think we're doing that now. If people choose to use that tool that we already have established, and that tool is that we can ask questions of the assessor's office regarding the properties that we're reviewing, and that's accessible by all of us. And if we have a question that we wish to ask about how property is being valued or conditions on the property or whatever it might be, we have the mechanism by doing that. We do in effect have that file already. All we have to do is state the property identification and ask the question that we have to the assessor's office, and how as he has done previously, he has referred that to other departments, i.e. engineering, conservation, zoning, to get answers for us. So either we can go ourselves, which some people have done, to get answers to questions, or we can use that mechanism that was created this year to create that file where we can take those questions that we have, put it into that record, get the answers from the people that were qualified to give us the answers who are supposed, I assume the people that we would go to anyway to ask those questions, get those answers so we can deliberate and use all of the information available to us. So I believe that does already exist if we choose to use it. Okay, so getting back to, I think people asked that, yes, Alexis.
And I appreciate that you and Kathleen are seeing, Emmeline and Jim tomorrow. That's great. And, maybe next time, if there is next time where we're all together, maybe we can have the privilege of hearing from them ourselves as the board in its entirety. Because, I think a lot of us have questions.
Yeah, this is
I know that
Kathleen.
doesn't, may I finish?
I'm sorry.
Thank you. I just
Yes,
want to finish up.
Yes, Kathleen?
No,
I
couldn't
just
hear Alexis,
finished my
sorry.
thoughts, though.
She's still going. She can, yeah.
10 seconds. I know that doesn't preclude us from going to Jim and Emmeline, but maybe as a group, next time we could all hear from them collectively so we could all ask questions and have that, that moment. Thank you.
Kathleen and I discussed that, and we thought that we would bring them to one of our meetings, like we did with the representative from MVS, and like we did from the town attorney. And given the time that we have to do the appeals, if we want to vote on bringing them to a meeting and utilizing our meeting time for that purpose, we can do that.
I'm good with that. I would vote for that.
This is
Kathleen?
Kathleen. Yeah, I'm hoping that after tomorrow's discussion, that was sort of part of it, was just so we could figure out whether it's worth bringing him to the meeting to see if he can add some value. And hopefully the answer is going to be yes. And hopefully we can get him like next Monday night before we do too many more of the Creekside lots or the ones that are just really complicated. These ones that have houses on them, there's good market value for them. It's these other smaller, awkward lots that we're struggling with and spending, literally an hour, 40 minutes on the ones because we don't know how to evaluate what the appellants are saying. So I do hope, I think we have it. Most people on Monday night, I think that would be beneficial. I think we have Peter and Alexis, and you're the ones who have the beach properties left, but the rest of us, or we can listen to it, within 24 hours, it's online to listen to. So I would like to see one of the two of them, hopefully Monday, if we can work it out.
Is that acceptable to everyone?
Yes,
thank
this
you.
is John.
Okay.
I think it's worth it. We all have lots of questions. I think it was really helpful when Bill Hurley came. We asked all kinds of questions, and I think that put us in a better space to make good decisions.
Judy?
And I'd like to get back to appeal number 177. So here's my thought, and I would just like to, I just want to say it, okay? The town's value of $854,500 is crazy out of this world. It's way too high. For that, that doesn't work at all. However, I also have to say that the 505 seems pretty low. So the 850, I don't think, I know that this property shouldn't have an 8, even have an 8 in it. I'd be willing to yeah, 1 second, and I'd be willing to work on that because I know the 854.5 number is wrong and the 505 is too low, and I'd be willing to work on it if other people were willing to work on that. That's all.
So Judy, I just want to say that right next door to it, or maybe 2 doors down, at 1291, which he has on page 4 here, is 50 feet smaller than his property, and is about $3,000 less, or $3,300 less. So, and I don't believe that sold here. So I'm kind of, I don't think he's made his point, as Kathleen would say, or made his case. Right? That's what you would say, Kathleen?
I think so. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not putting words in your mouth at all on this one or anything like that, but.
Thank you. Yeah, his argument doesn't hold much water, taking the square footage of all those other lots and coming to the 505. So the question is, do we spend a lot of time trying to figure out if we don't think he's where he should be, getting him there, or saying, no, he didn't make a good case and he needs to come back with sales data and tell us why his house wouldn't have sold for that amount on October 1st, 2020? Because there are some, lower price sales around the value of his home, in the reval period or slightly before. So he just needs to talk about sales. I think that's my opinion.
Paulette, your hand is up.
Yeah, I can go back to 2019 because we never seem to be able to use those numbers. But I went on the MLS and I put in Fairfield Beach Road and just clicked on what sold. And unless something sold privately in the last 365 days, I don't see sales for houses his size. So he's not going to get any sales data because there isn't any. So how do we expect him to come with something that doesn't exist?
Can I ask you a question?
No, I don't believe that I don't believe that it should be 505. I don't think his number is right. I'm not saying, but I just don't see where, I mean, the guy doesn't have numbers, doesn't have sales because there aren't any. So should he wait a year for some and hope that he gets them? Or perhaps we should just say, okay, well, like Judy said, maybe we can come up with a number that works for everybody.
Or if we don't like his number and we can't come up with a number, then we accept the town's value. Those are the three situations.
Alexis, were you going to say something?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay.
So if there's no offer for an amendment, I'm going to call a vote. All those in favor of granting this appeal to the requested value, raise your hand.
If we're not going to do anything about it, I'll just vote for it.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to take the time to do it right. We'll just vote for it. We'll just vote yes. It's okay.
Why can't we,
Wait
could
a
we
minute,
just?
wait a minute. What's doing it right and what's doing it wrong?
I didn't say I did it wrong. I said the right thing would be, let's look at numbers, but no one seems to be interested except for Judy and I, and maybe Alexis. I didn't hear from.
Why don't you, I mean.
Let's come up with a number right now. So let's go, let's go 7.25.
Judy, excuse me, wait. I'm asking again for the third time, does anybody want to make an amendment? Okay, nobody speaks up for whatever reason, and it's not sufficient to say because I don't think that anybody is going to agree with my number. You have to convince us that your number is correct. That's all I'm saying. And if you don't want to come up with a number, I'm not going to sit here all night waiting for you and to harangue me about doing not the right thing. I'm going to call for a vote. That's it.
Okay, Harold, I've had enough of your bullying and abuse now, so I'm gonna make an.
I'm not bullying and abusing anyone. Does anybody think I'm bullying and abusing, or I'm trying to move this along?
Well, you
I asked for a vote. You wanted to vote for it, and then you had a comment about doing the right thing, and I'm addressing that, and you just want to disappear. Okay? Did you drop off?
No, I'm right here. I'm right here.
Well, let me see that you're here. Don't just click off. Come on.
There's her hand. I see her hand.
Be fair to me too.
Everything you said. I did not click off. I heard everything you said, and I was just about to say that I'd like to make a motion to grant in part, if that's the way we do it, to a value of $725,000.
I'll second that. That was the number that I was thinking, actually, Paulette.
Oh, good. Okay.
That was the same exact number.
Well, okay. Without justification, I have problem voting on that, but let's see what.
Is there a motion? There is a motion here.
And it's been seconded.
Second.
Yeah, so I'll have, just for discussion purposes, I found a sale from September 2019, so right outside the reval period, almost the same size lot. It's a really small little house. It's 897 square feet, probably similar to the subject property. It sold for $865 in September of 2019. And the town now has it at $913. I mean, because it's been a year, I'm sure it's gone up in price. So there's an $865 sale at 1271 Fairfield Beach Road, which is probably just a couple doors down from 1281. 1271, 1281. They're almost neighbors, and it sold for $865 in September of 19. So I would have a hard time supporting a lower value for that home, because of that comp. That's 2 doors down. Now, he didn't give us that comp, but we can, if we choose, we can go looking for comps. But that's the one that I see that one.
Okay. It's outside the reval period. That's what you would say, but I'll, if you want to accept that.
No, this is Kathleen. I'm good. I know the market went up, so I like to look at a little bit earlier sales because I know they're generally going to be lower than what today's market is. So, and it's a month outside. So no, I'm okay with that because I know the market's gone up in the beach. So I know it's not gone down since then.
What was that address again, Kathleen?
Yeah, it's 2 doors down. It's 1271 Fairfield Beach Road. It's a 897 square foot bungalow built in 1921. And it's on the same size lot, a 0.07 acre lot, and it has a 0.85 condition factor on it on the land, just like the subject property does. And it's
Was that an arm's length transaction?
marked as a qualified sale for $865.
You know, it's not coming up on the MLS, so
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it's marked as a qualified sale. You can see it. It's a cute little, bungalow house on the water, built in 1921.
How did we find that? Because it's not on the MLS.
I found it in the sales
I
place.
just want the tax records. Oh, no, wait a minute.
So there's an amendment. I'm just saying that I want a discussion on the amendment, but we can, Harold, if people are ready to vote on the amendment, you can.
No, look, we need to have discussion on the amendment because we've been called out in the past for just making up numbers, and I'd like to get some justification for the amended number. Is there any discussion on the amended number? All right, we have a motion on the amended amount of, how much was it?
25.
765?
No, 725.
Thank you. So I will call a vote. All those in favor of amending the value to $725,000, please raise your hand. I have 1, 2 in favor, 3 in favor. Opposed, please raise your hand. Now, on the original motion, all those in favor of granting this appeal to the requested value, please raise your hand. I have 3 in favor. Opposed, raise your hand. I have 4 opposed, 5 opposed, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 opposed. The appeal is not granted, is denied. The vote is 2-5-0. In favor, excuse me, let me correct that. It was 3 in favor, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 opposed, no abstentions. In favor were Judy, Paulette, and Alexis. Thank you.
I'm sorry, this is Prue. Can I ask a quick question?
Yes.
Because I believe that the amount that I saw on my spreadsheet for the town value was different. So can you give me the town value again, please?
I believe that was 887,600.
Oh, okay, then it was right. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Can someone confirm that with me?
Yes, that's correct.
That's right. Carol, thank you.
Okay, who wishes to do the next one? Peter. We've got to get through these first, one way or the other.
That's fine. I'm happy to do the other.
Wait a minute, Alexis, was there a creek property that went with this house?
There you go. Yep, give me one moment.
Peter.
So this is Kathleen. I think we should wait. I would like to wait on all the creek properties and do them all together because I think they're very similar. So if you guys are okay waiting, we'll just, since we're not evaluating the properties as a whole, I think it's better to just pull all the creek ones and do them last. That would be my recommendation. So that we can be more consistent in how we are talking about them and deliberating on them.
And Just a moment, Alexis. And then related to that, as we said earlier, I think it would be beneficial for us to have the zoning commissioner or his representative speak with us on Monday to give us an opportunity to ask questions regarding those small parcels of land on the creek side. And so that when it comes to deliberating those, since they are, many of them are in the same condition, that we are better informed on how to evaluate the petitions. So, yes, Alexis.
Thank you. And I think that's a fine idea. My only issue is I had a property the other night where we voted on both house and side property. And I think that's kind of unfair to the applicant if we're not changing our, method going forward. And I'd like to have that. I don't think it's fair to change it midstream like that. It's not fair to the applicants. And we should set rules like that from the get-go if we feel that the creek side should go together.
This is Harold. I believe that we do have a mechanism to revisit appeals that have been previously deliberated and voted upon. And I have a question into the town attorney to find out what the mechanism is that is allowable to us. And I haven't heard back from him yet. But as soon as I do, we will determine how best to address those and when to schedule them. So
Harold, this is Russ.
Yes.
We asked that question before, very early on, and the answer is that it can be brought back up, but it has to be brought back up by somebody that voted on the, for lack of a better term, winning side. So if the appeal was denied, it would have to be somebody that voted to deny it to bring it back to the table, and vice versa. If it was a granted or granted in part, it would have to be somebody that voted to grant it, and they could make the motion.
Yes, Ross, this is Harold. Yes, that was my understanding as well, but I wasn't sure that that was all there was to it, and I wanted to get a more complete understanding, and that's why I asked. In what Ross said, it appears that the procedure is that a vote or an appeal can be revisited if a member of the winning voting side, whether it was granted or not granted, whoever was in the majority, let's say, of the vote, asks to bring it back to the table. Now, how that exactly can be done, I'm not sure, and that's what the question was that I asked to the assessor. Okay, so I understand that that's an issue for us or some of us, and I feel it's my duty to comply with everyone's needs in that area. Yes, Alexis.
No, I appreciate that. I mean, I really do. I'm not trying to give anyone a hard time, but if I'm a taxpayer, if I'm the applicant, I would want to have, all of us, we would want to have a fair hearing or a fair, we'd want to have the same, method applied if we were being appealed or we were appealing. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just want to make sure we're being fair to the taxpayer.
Absolutely. I'm certainly not trying to work against the taxpayer, and I'm
not suggesting that.
And I'm certainly not. I don't think the board is trying to work against the taxpayer. Let me say the board in general, and I don't think the board is, as a whole, is trying to work against the town. I think we are in the middle, and we are trying to decide best we can what is fair under the circumstances.
Very good. Thank you.
So, Peter, half hour to go. What can we do?
I guess we have time for one more, hopefully. Peter, that's it. You're the last one.
No, keep that 7-minute clock going.
Well, we hit over 20 minutes on the other one. Okay. All right. I'm typing
glad we can all have a sense of humor.
Peter, you're on mute if you're. I feel like there's a bunch of people from the beach listening to this and just hoping it's their number that's called here by Peter.
Okay.
Of course it is.
Sorry, 506. 506.
506.
Check your cards. 506. All right. 1895 Fairfield Beach Road. The owner is Laura Bonilla. She was also the appellant, and she was requesting a value of. The town had it valued at the property at $1,248,400. She was requesting a value of $1,234,800, and so I have some things here, right? This was brought to the assessor's attention, and the assessor did say that she had did not have AC on her property, and that was removed from it's going to be removed. So I guess we have to do a card correction.
Did you make
in addition?
No, he hasn't yet.
You're right. It's gonna. Well, I guess do we have to make a motion for that? And then.
And we have to second it.
And also, that there's a 0.9 condition for the lack of beach frontage, which would bring the value down. I believe I see that the value would be brought down to $1,136,700.
So this is starting, Peter, just in the file on page 17, the request to the assessor's office.
Right.
And so I'm assuming you're making a motion to approve the card corrections first, or card changes first?
Yeah, I guess if that's how we want to do it, sure.
That's how we've been doing it.
This is Harold. I must say at this point that I'm going to recuse myself because I know the appellant personally, and I know the house will not be proper for me to comment or participate in voting on this appeal.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. So I guess just is that what we do? Is just we make a motion to make these card corrections. Is that correct?
Yes.
This is Kathleen
Okay,
White.
so
I think
I
there's
make
an
a
air
motion.
conditioner, right? Air conditioner in the 0.9 on the property to be simple.
Right.
The property next door, I think, is exactly the same as the subject property, same age, whatever. So I think, right, they should be there. That'll make them the same.
Right. So I make a motion that we make these card corrections for removing the air conditioning from the card, and then also that the condition is changed to a 0.9 for lack of beach frontage. Do I have a second for that motion?
I'll second that. Judy.
All right, Judy. Thank you, Judy. All right, all in favor of granting that motion or approving that motion, raise your hand. Okay, I see
Yeah.
1, 2.
Peter, for some reason, I'm just having a hard time understanding you tonight.
You
Maybe
were
it's me.
really muffled tonight, Peter. You were super muffled.
Really?
You have a great voice, and I can hear it. So maybe it's in headphones. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
That's better.
That's so much better.
Definitely.
Okay.
All right, any better?
Very
Yeah.
good. Thank you.
We can hear you.
All right. So, okay, so I want to make a motion. So did everyone hear that part? I wanted to make a motion
Yes.
to make the card correction. All right, so the card corrections are that we're going to remove the AC from the field card, and that we're also going to change the condition from a 1 to a 0.9 for lack of beach frontage. Everybody good? So.
Right, I seconded that, and then we were
Okay, and
voting.
then Judy seconded that, and then all in favor of that motion, please raise your hand.
I think Kathleen had a question though, right?
I
You
do.
have a question?
Sorry, Kathleen.
I think we just need the amount. Do you know what the new amount, or the old amount and the new amount?
Okay, so the old amount was, her current value, or the old amount was $1,248,400, and we're changing that to $1,136,700.
Okay, just to get it in the record, thank you.
Sure. All right. So, all those in favor of that card correction, please raise your hand. All right. It looks 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It looks unanimous. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in favor and 1 abstention. Harold is abstaining. Okay. So her issues were, just to quickly go through this, her issues were
Wait, we need to make a new amendment or motion, right?
Yeah, well, I'm not really sure what the new, I'm not really sure what the new motion is going to be, because her number was higher than the now appraised value.
Right, this is Kathleen. I think her case was that her land was higher than the exact property next to her, which is what they fixed with the
Right.
0.9. Because the neighbor has a 0.9
Right.
house built at the same time, same size lot. And the neighbor, the frontage is small on those 2 lots. So I think that was her case, right? So we sort of
Right.
solved it
Right,
with the
that's
card.
correct.
We solved it with the card correction. Yeah.
Excuse me, this is Harold. By the way, since I'm recusing myself and abstaining from voting, can I hand the chair off on this appeal to someone else? Perhaps Catherine, would you like to chair this?
You're on mute.
7 minutes, by the way.
So
Yeah.
give it 5. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
I mean, the other choice, we can raise her to where what she put on her request, but I don't know if we want to do that. Do you?
No,
Yeah.
I think we should just deny the appeal, right? And she's
Or
going to have a
we
new.
can make a friendly amendment to the appeal to take her down to what we just reduced her to. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think that's
If
what
this
we
is
should
Ross,
do.
I think we had.
I don't think you need
I
to
think
do
we had a
anything.
similar case. I think we had a similar case earlier, right? I mean, either we take no action, or we should deny it at the level that she wanted, the amount she wanted, because then if she wanted to appeal it for some other reason, she could.
Okay.
Going forward. So either way, no action, or however you want to do it.
Yeah, this is Kathleen. I think for the record, it would be good to state what the new town value is and state her requested value and deny it. And then the appeal, we've been handling card corrections as separate motion. So I think that's, and that was her intention, right, was to get the correction on the land. So I think that's good.
Right.
Yeah, I would just like it clarified, and I think Paulette has her hand up.
Yeah, I was trying to. So by doing the card correction, we're taking her down to where she wanted to be.
Lower than where she wanted to be.
All right, I got it now. Okay.
Let's go, just make it clear and let's vote on it.
I agree with Judy.
Sure. So we already made the motion to do the card corrections, which would bring her appraised value to $1,136,700. So I'm making a motion to deny, or I'm sorry, I'm making a motion to approve her requested value of $1,234,800. Anyone who's please put your hand up if you
I'll second it.
approve that motion.
Thank
Wait,
you,
I'll
John.
second
Thank
the
you, John.
motion.
John's the second.
Okay.
All right, John's the second. All right, all those in favor of approving that motion, please raise your hand. Okay, all, I see none. All opposed, raise your hand. Okay. And anyone, I see Paulette and Alexis, are you opposed or abstaining?
To be honest with you, I don't know what we're doing. I don't understand what we're doing.
Paulette, so when we did the card correction, the card correction number ended up with a number that was actually less than her requested appeal.
Yep.
So when we did that card correction first, and now that we look at the appeal, if we were to grant that appeal, her taxes would actually go up after the card correction. So that's why we're denying the appeal.
Okay, I got it.
Okay.
This way
Did I
we
get
can
that
close-
right? Does that sound correct to everybody?
Yes.
Perfect.
Judy. And that way we close out the appeal. We don't have
Right.
it open.
And then actually, if she ever wanted to appeal something for the next 5 years, she's actually going to be able to do it.
Correct.
Right.
All right, I'm good with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me just do one more time here. Okay, so for all those in favor of approving the appellant's requested value of $1,234,800, please raise your hand. Okay, all those opposed, please raise your hand. Alexis, okay. It is unanimous. Actually, sorry, it's 7 in favor, 0 in favor, 7 opposed, 1 abstention. Harold is abstaining.
Thank you. I'm back.
Okay. All right. Alexis, do you want to do another one, or do you want me to do it?
Yeah, why don't you continue?
Did you say for me to do it?
I did, sorry. Yep, thank you.
Okay. All right. So this is appeal number 645. Number 645. It's 26 Lighthouse Point. The owner is attorney Paul Ganem, and he was the appellant. He's requesting a value of, the current value, the town has valued his property here at 26 Lighthouse Point at $1,171,900, and he's requesting a value of $600,000. All right. He purchased this piece of property in January.
You made a motion?
Whoops, sorry. Yep, got. Thank you, John. Thank you. All right. I make a motion to grant the appellant's value at $600,000. Do I have a second?
Since I called you out, yes, I'll second.
All right. John.
I'm sorry, can I have the appeal number, please?
Yes, it's 645.
645.
Thank you.
All right. So he purchased this property in January of 2020 for $600,000. And this is let's see, this is FB8 with a 0.75 condition on it. For it's landlocked, and waterfront, ROW. What's ROW? I'm sorry, I should have.
Right of way.
Right of way. Thank you. All right. So, yeah, actually, yeah, I have that right here. So, all right. So, it is being built on right now. There's new construction. I think it's 30% complete according to the field card. It's 0.199 acres. 2,848 square feet, I think is what it said. But anyway, he thinks that there's major problems, easements across any portion of the property, landlocked, only accessed by footpath, can't drive to it, no driveway, 9-foot right of way on another piece of land for parking. Subject's been on the market for years at a higher price. The value in the land is wrong. he feels he's at the mercy of his neighbors for access. And then he gave some comps to look at. He says the easements over the land, they're written very broad. So he had some comps. 46 Lighthouse Point, that was sold in 129.20. Is a vacant lot of land for $250,000. It's 0.096 acres. That's FB5, and has a 0.35 for size and water proximity, I guess. 1240 Fairfield Beach Road. He says that's not FEMA compliant. That was sold on 11/12/20 for $728,000. This is a waterfront condo, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, 1,105 square feet. That's FP8. About 38% depreciation. Number 96 College Place. There's driveway access, but not waterfront. That was sold in March of 21 for $787,000. This is a single family, no AC, 0.083 acres, 1,277 square feet. And 42% depreciation there. That's neighborhood 69. It's a different neighborhood. And there is a second building on that lot, I believe.
And Peter,
no, that can't be possible.
The comps you're going through are not in the file, correct? These were what he presented to you verbally?
Right,
Okay.
That's correct. Yeah. Harold, did you have a question?
No, I was going to say the same thing, that I only see 9 pages here, and I don't see any of the information. So that was given to you verbally?
Right, that's correct.
Okay.
This is Kathleen. Ross, can you call, is this on the end of the point? Sorry. Can you call it up on the GIS? I think this is the one, this is one of the only Lighthouse Point property, right, that's in the FB8 neighborhood. Oh, no, there's 3 of them, sorry. 215 and 26 got FB8 codes on them because they must be waterfront. All the other Lighthouse Points got FB5s because they don't have waterfront. So.
But he stated that he has no waterfront access. He says the property is landlocked, correct?
If you look at the field card,
right.
I mean, you can see the dwelling.
Yeah, but were they, I'm trying to figure out if it's from the beach that they're giving it, or I can't, so if Ross could pull it up, that would be great, because if it has an FB8, it would be a beach property. Yeah, I see Paulette.
Property, he's landlocked, except he is beachfront, but he's landlocked everywhere else. He's telling the absolute truth. He has no driveway, no access to the property, and no parking. He has to walk into the property from the little road. There's a little strip of road that goes from Fairfield Beach Road to partway down where Lighthouse is, or Lantern, wherever Lantern Point is. And then he has to get out and walk from there. He has to walk across other people's properties to get to his. So if they decide not to let him, I don't know if it's in his deed. I'd have to read his deed, but he is really kind of handcuffed about the access to the property. So he is beachfront, but that's it. He can't get out. He has to walk out and get into a car.
This is Kathleen, but he owns the 28, 38, and 46 as well, because Alexis has those 3 appeals, right? They're all on Lighthouse Point. One of his comps is another one of his appeals.
But it doesn't change the fact that for market value, there's no access to get to it with a car.
Yeah, but he's asking to go to 600, right?
That's what he paid for it. Yep.
There's a house on it.
So
that was 30% complete as of the reval date.
There was a house on it when he bought it. It was an old house. It wasn't in awful shape, but it needed a lot of cosmetic work, and it was not FEMA compliant. And so he tore it down, I guess, and now he's building another house. So when he finishes building, his values can go way up.
all right. He also provided 785 Roland Road. That was sold in April of 20 for 650,000. That's a BP1, 50% depreciation on it. 0.092 acres, 1,500 square feet. 38 Lighthouse Point was sold 128.20 for 825,000. That's an FV5. 0.084 acres, 1,708 square feet. What else? And 28 Lighthouse Point, which sold on 128.20 for 825. And that says it was demoed 427.20. Looks like that. And that's 0.85 acres. And again, 1,500, a little over 1,500 square feet. Has, 0.9 water proximity and again, FB5. So those were the comps he provided.
Right. Again, this is Kathleen. Those three comps are he owns all three of those. So those are his appeals that Alexis has.
Does it matter what he get a piece of
Well,
property
we're going to be talking about them at some point, whether we do it to, we get through those other three tonight or not, but those are he did pay $825 for a non-waterfront property. He paid $6 for this, but he paid $825 for two other properties that are not on the water. So
this man owns, he's not a stupid man. Do you think he'd pay 8 something for a property when he knew he paid 6 for the other one if it wasn't a better piece of property? Those other properties are better pieces of property, even though they're not waterfront.
So this is Harold. If I look at this map and I see the green dot in front of a building, and I don't know if it's the new construction or the original building, the other two properties that are owned by this appellant, where are they located in this map? Just so we can get some feel if he owns them or not. And if he owns them, then maybe he doesn't have restricted access since it's his own property.
He has restricted access by car. You cannot bring a car on that property. It doesn't.
That's true. That's true. There's several houses in this area that do not have a driveway. Yes, that's true.
I don't see that. There's a big.
This is Ross. Harold, the house in the picture is the old house.
Okay.
The one that was torn down.
So, I mean, there's 3 houses right in a row that don't have access, don't have driveways.
Well, I don't see that, Harold. Which houses are we talking about?
The one you're looking at the map.
Looking at the map, and I see that.
So there's a beach house, that's his house. The one behind it, there's no driveway there. And the one behind that, there's no driveway. So at least that's 3.
I think they have that. See that lot? I can't remember when I was down there showing it to somebody because I had somebody who was going to buy it. There's something about the use of that lot, and I don't know what the story is with that. I can't speak to it because I'd have to read the deed. But there's an issue with that parking lot that's right off that little lane being used. There's 2 places to park. You can see 2 big places to park. I don't know if he has access to that or not. I can't remember off the top of my head. I don't think he does, but I can't swear to it.
Yeah. Well, that's something we could find out. I mean, we can check the deeds, or we can check with zoning. I mean, that's and that's when I say we, any member of the board is the we.
Because he has a 9-foot right of way on another piece of land for parking.
But it doesn't state which piece of land, does it?
No.
Okay. And what are the other 2 houses? Are they the ones that are on that kind of driveway area, one with 2 cars and one with no car in there?
I think his are the, I don't know, let Russ decide. I don't have the addresses.
What are the other numbers?
The other numbers appear to be, and Kathleen, keep me honest here, is it 28 and 38?
28, 38, and 46. Those are his other three appeals, and he also used them all
Okay.
as comps.
Which ones
One
are
of
they?
them is a very, one it
Okay.
looks like he bought for parking. He paid $250 for one of them.
What
Right,
buildings
this
are
is
they?
28, right behind it.
Right.
Okay.
Right, 28 is directly behind. 38 is behind that, and then 46 is the vacant towards the parking lot.
Right.
Okay, so one of them you can park right there. That's that one. Okay. The other one's the vacant lot. So still, you can't park on his property. Not on that lot. You can park on near his other properties, but you still can't park a car at that lot on the water.
Well, no, you can only park on the one house, not the second one or not his house. But there's a direct line to his house through those other three properties.
It took a really long time to sell this house too. It's been on the market, I believe, on and off for years. And part of it was because it was overpriced. A lot of it was because it was overpriced, because you didn't have the access for parking. And if you weren't going to buy those other properties, you were really going to have a problem, where you're going to put your cars. So it took a long time for that property to sell.
It did. Well, when I was looking at that, I was going to bring that up. I mean, he bought it at January 15th of 2020. So, and he bought it for 600. So why are we debating it? It's a landlocked property. I mean, that's market value purchase. I mean, this home was on the market for a long time. I see, I see it listed.
Let's keep in mind that it was bought as a tear down, and there's a new house being constructed on it.
Well, that's fine. So, and when the house gets a CO, he's going to have a higher assessment. That's all.
Like the other property on Fairfield.
What was it? What was it on October 1?
It was 30% completed on October 1st. And I'm assuming it's 30% of the amount of 428,800. I'm
sorry, John, go ahead.
I was gonna say I'm not comfortable with the 600 just because I call it, Judy, I get what you're talking about. It was sold basically for the land at 600,000. But I think with the improvements that have been done on it, and also the fact that it's got beach property or beachfront on it, I get when you say landlocked, my head still thinks that there's no water around it, but there is that water. So I would be comfortable with maybe 800,000 or something like that, considering that it's the land, there's been some building on it. If you take 30%, that's about the 428, we'll say 120,000, and then time value appreciation. I would be more comfortable with, because I agree that right now at this point, 1.17 is probably not the right value.
John, I appreciate you saying, and
So what number are you proposing, John?
I'm proposing 800, and I just want to get people, I want to put feelers out for that.
I'd go for that. I'm right there for that.
Yeah.
John,
Well, listen, I was.
I can't go for that because
Sorry,
he paid.
Paul, go ahead.
He paid what market value was 600,000, and it's unfinished. Now, when it's finished, yeah, definitely, that'll be worth a hell of a lot more, and it should be. But if we're going to look at it, let's be fair. It's 30% finished. There's another property on Fairfield Beach Road that's 33% finished, and that certainly didn't go up in value. So why is this one going to go up in value? Maybe because this guy wasn't part of the evaluation company. Could that be it? Because we see what that did.
So I was going to make a. I was thinking, John, and everyone that the previous appraised value of the land was 800,000. I mean, this is a pretty, fairly large piece of land. Yes, it obviously has its limitations. It also has, a 0.75 deduction on it, right? So the new appraised value is $909,600. I think that recognizes that the value of the beach has gone up. It's not, obviously it's not, appraising him for the building that's not there, that will be there by next year, and it can be appraised at that point then. So that's my, just my thought. All right,
Okay.
just throwing it out there.
And that's fine. I'm not picking on anybody. I'm just saying that 600,000 was the market value. It's what he paid. And then the house was taken down. He's in the middle of a project. Why is it that we think we need to raise that value when he's in the middle of a project? And again, the other house on Fairfield Beach Road, number 1495, it did not have a raise in value. But if we're going to treat everybody the same, then why don't we treat everybody the same?
But
So can I just say,
regarding that other house that you are, this other house that you're mentioning, wasn't there a percentage of the completion applied?
No, the house value did not go up.
No, but was there a percentage of the completion? We're not talking about house value. We're talking about, should there be some value to the 30% complete?
I say yes, there should be, but if one didn't get it, the other one shouldn't get it. That's my whole argument.
Again, I'm asking if the other house didn't have a percentage complete reflected in the value.
That other house had a 33% completion on the field card.
We're talking about Fazio's house?
So
what? Yeah, you know what house we're talking about.
So
and yet,
okay, I just wanted to make sure it's Fazio's house.
Yeah,
okay.
And its value went down. So how could that be? That's not fair. If it's going to be one right for one, and it's going to reflect anyway, it's going to get changed when he's done. Just like Mr. Fazio.
And both houses will yes, and both houses will change when they're completed. Yeah. So, but there is still a 30% completion. So I can understand John's logic that certainly the town's value shouldn't be recognized as being correct since there's not a complete house. And it's my understanding that if we grant this in part to, let's say an $800,000 number, when the house is completed and it gets a CO, the condition factor is not going to change. Okay, that's still going to be 75 because the condition sticks with the property, but the value of the structure will change the value of the appraised value of the entire property. So
okay, that makes sense. But why didn't that hold true for Mr. Fazio's property?
Well,
because
there are other conditions that made it not go up, but there was still a portion in that valuation that had to do with the percentage of the completion. I can't say why the whole thing didn't go up, but he did. Here we're taking it down based upon a 30% completion rate. We're taking it down.
I can't.
If we use that logic, then Mr. Fazio's on his field card 33% complete. This house is 30% complete. So if he got $100 and something thousand reduction, then this guy should get it too. Then if we use that logic.
Well, he's getting $371,900 reduction.
He paid $600,000 for it. That's the market value until he's done.
Can I just talk on that?
Sure.
On that market value question, though.
Sure.
If I may. So listen. I mean, I'm not denying. I mean, he obviously paid $600,000 for it, but the fact is that he does own the properties that allow him to have access to that, and
closer
access. Partly because of his, where he owned property, he was, somewhat limiting for anyone to have access to that property, which then would have, brought that price down, driven that price down, and so, now that he owns that and those other properties, he's going to, either make himself access or, that's not going to be such an issue for him. So I don't really, I appreciate the fact that it was $600,000. I just think it was, somewhat artificially derived by the fact that he owned those other properties, that were adjacent to it.
It was the only buyer for that. That's not a marketable piece right now. Because the only way
Right,
to
you would
have,
only be
he's
the
gonna
buyer,
have to
you
give
would only
up.
be the buyer if, right, wouldn't you only be the buyer if you knew you couldn't, if no one else could have access to it?
Right, but that's the
So,
point. Nobody
I
else
think
could buy it.
That's why it didn't sell, and that's why it was worth 600 when he bought it, because he was the
But if
only
the other
possible buyer.
property, but if he bought that property alone, in my opinion, if he bought that property alone and didn't have any say in what the other properties can and can't do, right, with his access, and basically could deny him access to that, then I could see that. But with owning the other properties now, that could change things that would allow him. At least that's the way I think.
But here's the thing, and I appreciate that, but here's the thing, we have to judge each property on its own merits. Not
I
because,
agree.
listen, he happens to own the other property, he actually
Yep.
was able to give himself access, but it doesn't have, the market value is actually what he paid for it. Could he sell it to somebody else for 600?
Let me ask you this. This is Harold. Who is 26 Lighthouse Point LLC?
26, I'm guessing based on, because I know who bought it. I'm guessing that is, the owner of that is Paul Gannon.
Yeah, I think it's probably.
This Paul Gannon.
But why does this matter? Why does it matter? We have to judge
Okay.
the property on its own merit.
Judy, I agree with you on that. Can I make Kathleen, were you going to make a motion? Or you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this is Kathleen. I think he bought them all together. They all came from Paige Palmer, right? They came through the Palmer family, and he bought all 4 of those properties in January of 2020 with the intent, as a group. It looks like a group purchase. They may be individual properties, but he bought all 4 of them. He's appealing all 4. He bought all 4 at the same time. So I look at that house. That house is huge, and it's almost done. And he's on the beach. If we take him to 800, we're saying his land alone is worth 800, and he's got a $250,000 dwelling on it. So I just don't. I'm not seeing. I'm not seeing 8, and he asked us for 6, and I think we should just deny him and let him go to court and figure it out. But I think to try to figure it out for him is, it's not like he asked for 9, he asked for 6.
Why is that fair? He asked for what he paid for it. I don't understand.
He bought it pre-COVID, and it has a house on it. It's got the house. It's almost done. The windows are in. It's almost done.
We could say that about anybody's property.
Well, so a third of the way done, that's not almost done, Kathleen.
Well, the outside is done, so the windows are in.
Yeah, that's about but you need to learn a little bit more about construction to know that just because the outside is done doesn't mean it's done.
It's at least a third done, and the outside is done, so it's buttoned up if there's bad weather.
Excuse me, this is Harold. John wants to speak. He has his hand up. If people want to speak, raise your hand.
I want to go to bed soon. So I want to make a motion that we change the appellant's number from $600,000 to $800,000 that we grant
No
in part.
justification, just because that's what we want to do. No justification for that, just because we just want to make a motion to get done. That's another
joking about that.
Paulette, Harold second that. I'd like to say something. Because, and just, please hear me out, guys. He bought it for 600. He's got a little bit of money into it, and he put up a 1/3% of whatever of the dwelling. We could, and I know that we didn't approve, or somebody else in a similar situation didn't get some kind of an adjustment. However, if we don't do that for the 800, then we leave the guy stuck at with the denial, because he's not going to get to 600. So we can either do the 800 with the property and the partial dwelling on it, if everybody was so inclined, or it's not going to pass.
Or we give it an up or down.
Hey, Judy, right. I agree. You're right. Since we're going to be bullied into doing this, the poor guy can get some relief. Let's let the bully board vote on it, and let's just go with it and be done with it so we can all go to bed tonight. the new way we value properties now, not what somebody paid for it, not the market value, but what we feel like giving it because because there's windows in it and then the elements can't get in. This is a great idea. Let's just vote now. Hurry up, let's go. I'm ready.
Always a pleasure. Well, I will call the vote then on the amendment to adjust the value to $800,000. All those in favor, please raise your hand. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in favor, opposed. Three opposed. The motion is carried to grant the amended motion to reduce the value to $800,000. Now to vote on the original motion. All those in favor of granting this appeal in part to $800,000, please raise your hand. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 opposed. 1, 2, 3 opposed. The motion is granted. The appeal is granted in an amount of $800,000. Thank you very much. So before we adjourn, I would like to ask Kathleen if she has the feedback from the board members as to when we can begin tomorrow.
Kathleen, tomorrow's Friday, so we didn't get enough people for tomorrow, and I don't even know if we have enough for Saturday. We did add 2 mornings next week to take care of the commercial. So I feel like Monday and Tuesday morning, we have a quorum of 5. So we should be able to make some good progress on, the only 2 people left, I don't know, are Peter and Alexis with, other ones to do at night, I believe. So, I mean, I guess what was up in the air was Saturday, right? It's not, we don't have enough for tomorrow. Question is, do we want to try for Saturday, or are we just going to continue to do the beach at night? Alexis isn't available on Saturday.
I'm not available either.
And John's not. So then we can't get a quorum on Saturday.
All right. Well, then I will have to really knuckle down next week with the 4 nights that are left for us to finish the beach.
Do we have
Yes.
Judy, charge your timer for next week.
Catherine, what? I'm sorry.
Did we get to morning scheduled? I wasn't aware of that.
This is Kathleen. Yeah, we got Monday and Tuesday mornings from 9 to 12, right? I think there's 5 of us. Judy, Catherine, Paulette, Harold, and myself can do 2 mornings next week, 12 to noon, 12 to 1, whatever anybody can stand. And then, so the
Oh, so you
evening.
mean 9 to 12? Now you said 12 to noon or 12 to 1?
Nine to 12 or 1. We can extend if we feel that we can do that. All right. Well,
Okay.
I think that's where things stand. Do we?
Question?
Yes, Alexis.
How many more deliberations do we have left?
Well, I think that we have in excess of 100.
Yeah, as of last night, there were 53 real estate, 53 commercial, and about 4 or 5 condos and a farm or something. So it's the 53 real estate that's probably going to hold us up, because most of those are the beach properties. That's why I have to figure out how to do the real estate, quickly, and who's available, to present their own appeals on the beach. So that's why, Saturday, what do we have? I guess I shouldn't say that. I had Peter for 2 hours. I don't know if I heard, I'm trying to think did I not hear from? Paulette. I suppose we could do Saturday morning for Peter if you want. But other than that, no. Catherine's got her hand up.
If you're counting.
I'd like to adjourn. Can we just discuss this?
We're Monday, Tuesday, and we just have to figure out when we're going to start, what time next week at night, right? If it's only Peter and Alexis, we won't start till 6. So.
But I'm going to ask Catherine to take this offline and Kathleen to send out.
Yeah, sorry about that. Adjourn.
No, I Thanks, guys.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion.
Alexis makes a motion to adjourn, and Judy seconds. Thank you all very much.
Thank
And,
you.
see you possibly on Saturday.
All right, very good. Thank you.
All right, good night,
Thank you.
everybody.
No, no Saturday.
Good night.